3,
two,
1.
monkey bars.
Hello,
Podcast.
everybody. Welcome back to the Second Letter Podcast. I'm Alex.
My name is Jesse.
Okay, second.
And llama.
And
I'm a llama. Can't you see?
Dude, you're a llama. Well, if you're just listening to this, that makes no sense to you.
Yeah. Well,
If you're watching this, it makes a lot more sense.
so go watch our YouTube video at Thick
Yes.
and Butter or YouTube. What is the your? Yeah, probably
Just Thick and
YouTube.
Butter Google
Just search
podcast at Google.
Thick and
or
Butter.
at,
Yeah.
YouTube.
Thick
I'll
and Butter.
Google.
YouTube. Google.
And then it will come up.
Type in Google. Open your computer. Open your Google Chrome or whatever.
Or your
Firefox,
phone.
DuckDuckGo, or your phone.
Go.
Go onto your
Or-
web browser.
Hey, you
Type
forgot Bing?
Bing. Yeah, we can't forget about Bing. Did you ever use Bing?
Huh?
Have you used
I
Bing?
used Bing. I think my high school, that was the default browser when you signed into the computer. Just Bing.
Yeah,
That's the only time.
I remember.
I don't know if Bing is still around.
I used Bing for some really primitive porn search when I was a young man.
Yeah, Bing's got the good stuff.
That's the good stuff. Well, like when you're a kid and you don't understand how to use the internet yet, sometimes it's
Yeah.
like, maybe it'll be different if I use this thing. So that was the
Yeah.
idea.
I
Fresh
used
content.
Firefox for a while.
Yeah. Firefox ain't bad.
You know what's funny is like looking back on it, it's just funny that like why are there even other search engines?
Besides
They
Google
all
Chrome.
do the same thing, like you know what I
Yeah.
mean? Except for
Yeah.
like DuckDuckGo, which is like their motto, their whole idea is like, I think I don't use it, but I think their idea is that your
Less
data,
tracking.
yeah, they don't track you like your data isn't shared or something.
Yeah. Yeah.
But like,
Speaking of like internet browsers, did you see that like Internet Explorer is being discontinued?
no, really,
Yeah, they're gutting it. They're removing it, which
What
is
the
like
fuck?
for good reason because
Is
like
Windows based on? Is that a Windows thing?
yeah, so it's like whenever it's the Internet Explorer's the thing on like it's just their default thing, but they're
Default,
like
yeah.
they're ditching it for like Google Chrome or I don't know, or like Firefox or whatever automatically because like it sucks. It's awful. Yeah.
Yeah.
Because I remember I only used Internet Explorer to download Google Chrome. That's the only time I ever used it.
Yeah. Yeah, Google Chrome is definitely the best. It's the most fat. I can't believe we're talking about internet browsers. What is your favorite internet browser? Leave a comment below.
Fat Google Chrome, fat ass, slick.
Rank your engine.
Oh, dude. Well, let's do a tier listing of internet browsers.
Yeah, the F
From
tier.
let's do
I
a
don't even
creative
know-
tier
okay, well,
listing.
I gotta look up. I don't even know.
Yeah,
Okay,
maybe
so
we'll
there's
find
Safari,
like
Google Chrome,
Okay.
Internet Explorer, Firefox.
yeah.
Uh,
Is that it? DuckDuckGo, Bing.
well, those are like, but those are like search engines. Like they're not like Internet Explorer is like a whole platform for the
Yeah.
internet. If that makes sense, right?
I see
you
what you're
could-
getting at.
Because you can go on Internet Explorer and type in Bing, and then you're on Bing. Like Bing's a website. Bing's
Yeah.
or Yahoo. You know.
Okay, you bring up a good point. I've never thought about this before. Because Google, the difference because there's a Google search.
What do I even look for that?
There's a search engine like Bing. Is there like an internetexplorer.com? I didn't know there was such depth to this topic. Did
That
you?
sounds like that's internetexplorer.com.
What
There's
is
something so ironic about that site could not be found.
Oh. Maybe
there's
it's been
something-
obliterated.
there's something so ironic about like going on the internet and going
Yeah.
internet. Bring me to the Internet Explorer. Bring me to the thing that will let me explore the internet. Like,
All right.
you're already on the thing that will let you explore the internet.
Yeah.
Speaking of the internet, this kind of leads into a movie that I saw recently, like super
Okay.
recently, like 2 days ago. Um, it's a documentary. I might have sent it to you, but it's called Feels
Oh,
Good, Man.
yeah.
Have you seen this?
No.
Dude, it's just like amazing documentary. Like if you're listening to this and I mean most people who listen to this are under 20.
Hmm.
If you're under 20 and or 20 years old, our age, in
Yeah.
like their 20s, you should definitely check this out because it's about Pepe the Frog, like the meme, the very popular frog meme.
Yeah.
Everybody knows that meme is.
Yeah. Everyone's seen it a little bit.
And what it's about is it's about the history of that meme and about more specifically how that meme turned into the uh symbol for the alt right. Which
Yeah. I
on
didn't
on
I didn't realize
4chan.
that.
Oh, dude, it was. I mean, I remember it. I mean, it was. I mean, it got so big that Hillary Clinton and Trump, like, they had to acknowledge Pepe the Frog, like during the
Oh.
election, in
Oh.
2016. So it got that
I
crazy.
vaguely remember that.
And
Yeah.
it is a fascinating documentary
Yeah.
about because memes. I think we probably talked about memes at some point on this podcast, but memes fascinate me. Memes
Hmm.
are incredibly interesting to me. Um, just the idea of something like because a meme, the definition of a meme is basically like something culturally that humankind all latch onto.
Yeah.
Like a chair is a meme, for example. Like
Okay.
because someone invented a chair, and all the other humans were like, chairs are sick, and so
Yeah.
everybody uses chairs.
Is that like the definition of the word
I'm pretty
meme?
sure a
Okay.
meme. Yeah,
I
I
thought
don't know the full word, but
I always thought that like meme was an internet phrase that came after like
I
the
don't think
phenomenon.
it is. I think meme has been a word that's been
That's
around.
really interesting.
I think it's just called memes because that's what they are. Like internet memes are, a viral meme is something that a bunch of people grab onto. Like for example,
Yeah.
that amazing meme during the pandemic of that guy just with the face tattoo and the cranberry juice and he's on the skateboard
Yeah,
listening to
right. Right.
Fleetwood Mac. That captured the world, you know,
Yeah.
and like everybody loved this guy, so that's a meme. Everybody attacks to it. It's
Yeah.
virality. So,
Yeah.
but it's interesting when you start getting into how much they influence culture and
Mhm.
how and that like this documentary is really interesting because it also it interviews and the main subject is the original artist of Pepe the Frog, which he's a comic book artist. He was a just a really wholesome, cute comic book artist, like underground
Yeah.
comic book artist that made this comic called Boys Club, uh, that had like an underground following. And Pepe the Frog was a character in that comic.
Yeah.
And the meme like started when he just started uploading uh cells of the comic to his MySpace page.
Mhm.
And there was one image of, Pepe looking happy, just like a close up of him. And he said, and the quote and the bubble was feels good, man.
Yep.
And that was the original Pepe meme. And that became huge on 4chan.
Yep.
And then 4chan became like super alt right. There was a subsidiary in 4chan that was super alt right. And they used Pepe as basically the mascot for. It's
Yeah.
really fascinating. it's a really interesting documentary because you're also led to believe, like, we watch it, you start to think, like, so basically, one of like, the internet is. I had an idea of this when Trump was elected, but the internet had a lot to do with that. Like a
Oh,
lot to do that.
Trump's election.
Yes, and like after watching that, it is pretty amazing to the level of like, yeah, it seems that because of this on the internet and like these communities, basically like for example, like they didn't care about politics or anything. They just thought it was funny
Yeah.
that
Yeah.
Trump would be president. And so they did all these wild things. And dude, it got to the point where Trump was retweeting Pepe the Frog news.
Wow.
Like,
That's bizarre.
and him and like Alex Jones, that piece of human garbage, the InfoWars guy,
Yeah.
his involvement in all the. It's fascinating. I would highly recommend anybody check it out. Also, the film is just like really well made, and there's
Yeah.
like there's an amazing animation aspect to it that has just like really incredible animation sequences in it that honestly were like really breathtaking. It's a really, really, really good movie. I don't.
Yeah.
I rented it. Um, I
On
think it was.
Amazon.
Yeah, it was on a streaming service at some point, but I really wanted to watch it, so I was like, I'll rent it. And it's a small indie film too,
Yeah.
and like it won like the best documentary at Sundance like a couple years, like last year during the pandemic.
Yeah.
Um, and that's how I heard about it. But yeah, it's great. So yeah, but definitely check that out for sure.
It's
Um,
really interesting to see memes start to get like this serious kind of attention in a way,
yeah,
because it's of course it needs to happen at some point, because it's just turning into, because the thing that's weird about memes is that it's going to turn into our language sooner or later,
I mean it already is.
yeah, it's in our colloquial
Yeah.
vocabulary, and slowly we're going to start accumulating these words that develop from meme, either phrases or this visual stuff.
Well, I mean, I think like that. Well, I think that's always been going on. Like
Yeah.
a meme technically is, for example, in 1989 when NWA said "fuck the police," that was a meme. Like
Yeah, good
everybody
point.
said
Yeah.
at the Taylor Hughes movement, everybody said "fuck the police,"
Yeah.
and all this shit. So in some way, that's just human nature to do that, to latch on to
Yeah.
words,
I mean,
phrases.
it's like inside jokes with your friends,
Yeah,
you
absolutely.
have like
Yeah.
events, and that just like it's that phenomenon,
And
but
it still
on.
is because not everybody knows every meme.
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah. Yeah.
yeah,
Yeah, but you have to be like on the inside. You have to be in the know on Twitter or
yeah,
something like that, or
right,
in the
exactly.
know
Or
on
TikTok,
Reddit. Yeah,
right?
which is like
Like, there's crazy. I have friends who are on TikTok all the time, and they will say a meme to each other, and I'm not on TikTok, so I
yeah,
have
it's like
no
I have
idea
no
what
idea
that
what they're talking
viral
about.
TikTok meme is.
That's kind of interesting, because like the thing that's crazy about memes is not necessarily how, because it is a unique process to a certain degree, but the thing that's really unique and astonishing about it is how like widespread and worldwide it is, like
Yeah,
how impactful it is, because you always talk about like math and music being kind of universal languages that you
yeah,
can like always talk math or talk music, and anyone who kind of knows math and music can engage with you, because it's not based on any, it's like a fundamental thing.
yeah,
It's kind of like what memes are, because
yeah,
they're fundamental, like everyone knows what you're talking. If you know the meme, it's the same everywhere,
right,
it's because you like, it can be in whatever language you fucking want.
yeah.
It doesn't matter, you know the
And,
vibe, you know
and
it.
that's like there's a point about that in the documentary about Pepe because Pepe when he started out, and he's still, it's not really a meme that's used that much anymore, more because the creator is really like started cracking down on the copyright issues and
Yeah.
started suing different people who were selling things and
Yeah.
especially alt-right, like the Alex Jones guy selling like Pepe the Frog like posters, and he
Yeah, so
got the
that's
lawsuit.
which is
But
good for him to do
that's
that.
probably one of the reasons why it's not nearly as used that much anymore.
Yeah.
Um, but like this documentary makes this point that in China, in Hong Kong, Pepe is used as this symbol for hope. Like
Oh,
in the whatever I don't know, like I don't really
you
know
mean
much
like in
about
like
China, but whatever was going on
yeah,
at
like
the
the
time in Hong Kong and
yeah,
China.
horrible shit was going like
Yeah.
oppressive laws were going on in
Oppression,
Hong
yeah.
Kong.
And Pepe was being used as a symbol of hope. And this is
Wow.
after all the alt right thing and all that in America. And you're right. It's just this, and it also like blows me away too. Because it's like it's not this like honestly like the meme never spoke to me. I never understood the meme. I always thought it was like yeah, it's whatever. Like I
Yeah.
never like I was like, but it just amazes me that this one skill of this frog and all these incarnations of it that people made across the whole internet to become like a symbol for like
Yeah.
it's like what?
Yeah. I know, man.
Crazy. Makes no
You
sense. It makes like no sense.
yeah,
Like
I mean,
like how is Pepe oh no.
what
But
happened? Oh my
never mind.
oh.
But
Oh.
why
Oh.
like but like how did it like there's nothing about the original meme that has anything to do with peace.
Yeah, right.
Like what?
Yeah,
They just you can take something and just run with it. The way
it's
that it's portrayed, the way that you know I guess like want it to be perceived. You can, it's a meme. You can do whatever you want with it, I guess.
my friend brought up a really we were having a conversation. I was like chatting with him on the phone, and he brought up when we were talking about like how we feel about like our favorite pieces of art and stuff, and he had this phrase that has always stuck with me where he talked about how like really great shit isn't necessarily like great because of the genius it was on the like at the initial output, but how it accumulates meaning over time is a
Oh,
really like.
absolutely, yeah.
And
I
I
mean,
think
we talk about that all the time.
yeah, like and I feel like memes is like such a great example of that. And it's like not
Yeah.
necessarily on like a high art kind of idea or more, but
No,
more on
but
like
if
a
they're
cultural
memes are
level.
art. Absolutely.
Yeah.
Memes are 100% art. As much as you don't think some people might not think they are, they're 100%
Yeah.
art. For
Yeah.
sure.
And I think it's I would define it as a way of communication too,
Yeah.
like art
So is
and
music and
communication.
so is film. And, I mean,
Yeah. That's a good
art
point.
is
Yeah.
a form of communication, you know?
Yeah. That's interesting. Yeah. That's
So
a
yeah, check it out. It's
I
fucking
wanna
great.
I really want to watch it.
Amazing documentary. Very fascinating. And I think there'll
Never heard
probably
of
be
it.
more documentaries about it. About maybe not Pepe, but just memes in general. Um, because yeah, just the influence is just it's you can't ignore it.
Yeah.
You can't really ignore it at this point. It's just becoming so big and like the way of communicating now. You know, like
It's
look at like
also
companies on Twitter and Instagram, like Wendy's just meme, like they meme all day on fucking. That's what they do on Twitter.
yeah.
All they do is just try to get that like viral tweet, that viral sentence, that making fun of McDonald's or fucking. It's crazy. It's like
Yeah.
these big corporate machines are going toward memes to market.
Do
But
you know
like,
do you, do you know the Twitter account Wint, like WINT?
mm-mm,
So he's like basically made a career off of being like a Twitter shit poster, and he shit
sure,
posts like texts and stuff. And
yeah,
the thing I find is really interesting about it is just like the language that he uses, not like vulgar language like fucking stuff. Like
uh-huh,
it's about just the way the pattern of his phraseology. And there's like a whole Wikipedia page that goes into like one of the reasons why that people think this guy's like literature people think he's a genius to a
uh-huh,
certain degree because of his capacity to talk in like this internet tone of voice.
Yeah.
And it's like,
yeah,
and
right.
it's like there's this really interesting way that we kind of like phrase our speech patterns that's like grabbing on the internet. I find that really interesting that you write things down in a certain way or say things, you know, or it's like an intonation of shit, and it just like grabs people through the internet medium. Wild.
So weird. It's so bizarre. The internet is just such a can of worms. It's something that we won't even understand until maybe we won't ever really understand it.
I feel like have you seen that like Bowie quote where he's talking about the internet and he describes like he's talking about like he's in an interview and it's like the 80s or some shit like that. And the interviewer's like, what do you think of the internet, you know, before it was like a thing?
Like,
and
like late 80s.
Yeah, and this guy, the news reporter was obviously like an idiot or something. No, I won't shit on him too much, but he didn't fucking know anything. He didn't have like he wasn't very like broad-minded about it. And Bowie went into like this incredibly eloquent and like
I want to see that.
Because he talked about like the internet turning into it's going to change everything, man. You know, it's gonna it's gonna be its own identity. It's gonna be its own being. Like once it comes through, it's just it's gonna change the world in the way we'll have no idea what that world is like. It will be totally different than how it is now, and that's like exactly what happened. It was exactly what happened.
I mean, especially like I don't know, there's people who. I mean, I think artists really thought about that because, I mean, especially like someone like Bowie, where he probably was seeing how this could have changed the music industry forever. And it did forever. Like, the music industry is not even
the same.
Close to the same thing.
Yeah, can you imagine like trying to go back to like producing a record and like big studios and stuff? Like, it's like based on.
I mean, people still do that, but the idea of still like marketing an album, for example, like for the big single, for example, that's still something that you think about, especially like a big album like The Weeknd's album or Kanye or something. At some point, Kanye doesn't go fucking anymore because he's a brilliant. He knows what the fuck he's doing.
Where's Donda?
The internet, it's coming. It's coming.
Where's Donda? Kanye, come on, son.
It's coming. It's apparently coming next week, but listen.
We'll try next Friday.
He's a liar, so I'll see it when I see it. I don't know.
How sad were you when when it didn't come in?
So mad. Because like I believed him.
I know.
Because he had that live stream.
Dude,
that Apple live stream, and I watched it. Well, I will say, did you see any of the live stream?
No, I don't have no idea what that is.
You didn't see like pictures of it or anything like that?
No, I guess I haven't. No.
You didn't see like a picture of him in like a stadium with like a red suit on and he had like a pantyhose on his head?
No.
So the Kanye thing. Part of me, this is a really complicated thing because part of me, I'm such a huge fan of him, like, but part of me hates him and like what he's doing. But part of me thinks he is a genius. Like he knows exactly what he's fucking doing because Donda, like, he has not still to this day said one word. All this promotion and all of this like. Are coming from other people that he's associated with. Like all he's done is posted like 5 pictures on Instagram.
Yeah, that's it. Yeah.
Didn't send anything. So he basically was like he did a commercial for Beats. And the commercial came out and it had one of the songs in it. It sounded amazing. It sounded like fucking awesome. It sounded like Jesus is King, but like good.
Yeah.
And then and it said like Donda, July 23rd, like a listening party on Apple Music. And you know, for me, I was like, okay, that seems pretty real. I mean, he had a commercial on TV.
Yeah.
Beats, and Apple was signed on to be like, hey, listening party for this album. and he's bringing 45,000 people to
Yeah.
Mercedes-Benz Stadium
Yeah.
to listen to this. I was like, okay, this is definitely coming out,
This is gonna happen.
right?
Yeah, yeah.
And so I watched the live stream, and he comes out, and it's like it's a football stadium.
Yeah.
He comes out, just he's the only one on this giant field. He
Yeah.
starts playing this album that I will say it sounds pretty great, but it was definitely not done. Like you're
Yeah.
watching this and you're like, this is not done. Like it's not
Yeah.
mixed very well. There are
Yeah.
parts of Kanye where it sounds like that he was like riffing. Like
Yeah.
he doesn't have like autotune on his voice or like that or
Yeah.
anything. Like and I was like,
Oh,
okay.
interesting.
And so I was like watching this, I was like, is this the album? Because this is not finished. Like he would
Yeah.
have like songs would just kind of like loop for like 2 minutes on this like one idea, and that would be like it. So like
Yeah.
there's no really like idea of like the song
Yeah, the
structure or
structure.
anything like.
Yeah. Yeah, yeah.
And I was like, all right, we'll see when the album comes out. Next day, album will come out. And then it gets crazier. You've probably heard about this, but he's living in Mercedes-Benz Stadium.
He's living there?
He's living there. And so he has a studio in
Oh
Mercedes-Benz
my
Stadium
god.
finishing the album. And what's even weirder is that Mercedes-Benz Stadium fucking loves it. Like they're
Yeah.
like, this is awesome that Kanye
Yeah.
is making this album in our stadium. So
Yeah.
if you look at his Instagram, one of the pictures is just a photo of his bedroom in the visitors' locker room in
Oh my
Mercedes-Benz Stadium.
god,
And so he's
dude.
finishing this album, and but at the same time, I'm still very excited. But it's created this an ungodly amount of hype now. You
Yeah.
know, because he is living in a fucking football, like he's living in a stadium finishing this album, like,
Yeah.
and
Yeah.
like, so on one hand, I'm like, fuck you, how about you just don't just put it out when you
Yeah.
think it's don't lead us on, don't say any, just put it out. If you want to put it out an album, just tweet it and be like, here's an album, and
Yeah.
put it
Yeah.
and make sure it's out because it's just annoying. It's just frustrating because like it's just frustrating because this the one time that I actually thought that it was gonna come out, like, oh my god,
It's
it's gonna be
happening.
real. Not Yandi. This isn't, usually this kid came out like 2 months later than he said
Yeah.
it would.
Yeah.
It's like, okay, wow, this feels real, and then it did.
Yeah.
And it's like, Jesus Christ. But I will say though, it did not seem finished. Um, so if anything, I'm just happy that he's, you
Actually
know,
finishing it.
finishing it and
Yeah.
making it quality, not sounding like Jesus King, which was not very well mixed for
Yeah.
compared to a Kanye project, like
Yeah.
a typical Kanye album.
Like,
Well, yeah, it was also like that, but
yeah. I mean, as a like a musician or an artist, I feel like it's not the optimal way necessarily to go about it, but like he's being like in the way that this world works, like he's doing a business thing. You know what I mean?
absolutely.
Like he is making great business by
But I
doing
know it,
this.
knowing him though, that he will be the type of guy to like be like that. Maybe his plan, well, his plan might have been to literally have this listening party, see how people react to it. You know what
Yeah.
I mean? And then
Yeah.
go and finish it. He
Yeah.
could do that. It's
Yeah. Yeah,
crazy
right.
that this guy really break down what he did. He sold tickets very inexpensively, $25 tickets
Yeah.
for people to go to stadium, a stadium, which is
Yeah.
45,000 seats, sold it out for for him to walk out, not say a word,
Yeah.
and play this unfinished album and just dance around for like
Yeah.
50 minutes.
Yeah.
And like, who can do it? No one can do it. And
Yeah,
then
that's
even
really
better, he's
crazy.
doing another one
Yeah.
on
Another listening
the
party?
5th. Yeah.
Wow.
Like,
Like an update. Here's how it is
yeah, an
now.
updated one. Like, dude, what?
Man,
Like
that's pretty
no,
crazy.
no one can do that. Like, and he
Yeah.
has not said a word. He even tweet out like, "Here are the tickets." Like
Yeah.
people, like he understands that his fan base is so rabid and wild that they will figure out how to go or how
Yeah.
to see it, or
I
you
mean,
know what I mean?
it's like this is what like a much different scale when we're talking about Kanye, but it kind of makes me think about like Death Grip's attitude. Although I respect
Oh, it's
like
super similar.
because I
Yeah,
respect their like autistic like consistency more than
yeah,
Kanye, I would say. But it
yeah.
reminds me of like the fact of them just kind of being like I don't know, like
Trading.
in the way that like Death Grips is like, I don't give a fuck about you fans, like, or like the
Well,
way
I
that they
think
say it is
yeah.
different than Kanye, but it's a similar
Well,
thing.
I think like well, it's just the way. It's just a way of mark. I mean, Death Grips. I mean, that was a way of marketing their music. Breaking
Yeah.
up and like coming back. They might have broken up. Who knows? Maybe they were like had a huge fight and said, fuck you, we're done. We're not going to do this." And then for like half a year or whatever, and then they came back. Maybe that
Yeah.
was real. Maybe that was true, you know?
Yeah.
But I'm more led to believe that that was all a stunt. That was all publicity stuff. And it
Yeah.
worked because it garners hype. They understand the internet. Where like
Yeah.
if you do something, if you lie or if you do something that you say you're gonna do and not do, and then do this weird thing like live in a stadium, you
Yeah.
know, like that's gonna garner hype. That's gonna like get people like interested in what's going on. Kanye has been doing this since fucking Jesus, where he when he promotes an album, it is a in, insane 2 month period or one
Yeah.
to 2 month period where he's tweeting wild shit, going on TMZ saying the craziest shit
Yeah.
imaginable. You know, this is what he does. Like he goes into the public eye, he stays elusive for most of like the whole year or whole 2 years, and
Yeah.
then when he's ready to release something, he comes out and goes, "Slavery is a choice." Like,
Oh my God.
what? But everyone is talking about him again.
Yeah.
Kanye is one of the most complicated human beings in the world. He is so, uh, he is such an artist to a fault.
Yeah.
Like he sees everything that he does as a piece, as a
Yeah.
performance piece.
Yeah.
Like when he talks about that TNG thing now, like it is the way he talks about it is like, yeah, I just did it to like because no one else would say it, so I'm just gonna do it.
I'm gonna say it.
I just like doing it because no one's saying it. That like
Yeah.
he doesn't need that shit. Like that's the whole Trump endorsement thing. Like he's like, I'm
Yeah.
gonna wear this hat because that's what everybody tells me not to do.
Yeah. Yeah.
So
Right.
he's such an artist that he's like, I'm gonna go against every norm possible. But
Yeah.
it got frightening when he just didn't. That's when it got like a little like okay, dude, because he didn't understand the influence that he has, you know,
Right. That's the
and
that's the
the
scary thing.
detriment
That's
of that.
yeah, that's the scary thing.
Let me turn on the light real quick. Well, goddamn light. Oh shit! Ow. Yeah, I'm excited for Donda. It was good.
You know what I really want to happen though is
That he doesn't release it ever.
well, I really want I'm excited for the Kanye documentary, like the
Oh
great
my
one that's gonna come
god.
out. I want the Kanye documentary. This is the Kanye documentary that I want.
There's a
I
Netflix
want
one coming out at some point.
that, which will be cool to watch. But and maybe this one that's coming out is going to be the one I want. But the one I want is one where it's done by like a rebel filmmaker, and they do it right before he dies, and
Yeah.
he dies while they're making it. So they edit it and they put in all the shit like unhampered by any kind of pressure from anybody.
Yeah.
And they like just throw this shit together, and it's the craziest like 6-hour documentary in the
Yeah,
world.
there probably will be. He is
Like I think once Kanye dies,
he's a
crazy shit about
fascinating
him's gonna
guy.
come out. Crazy shit's gonna come out.
Probably.
Not like horrible things about him personally, but just like
I genuinely
details.
don't think that at all. Yeah, I don't think he's a bad person, like, at all. He's fucking crazy.
Yeah.
I mean, he's got severe, like, bipolar. Like,
Yeah.
I mean, dude, like, even if, like, you watch back to, like, those 2018 rants and stuff, when you hear him talk, like, this is not a dude that is stable. Like, he's just,
Yeah.
the way he talks, it's very, like, not same. And then when you see him, on meds or not in a fucking manic state, he's very calm and very, like,
Yeah.
that's just that's what bipolar is.
Yeah.
You
Just
know?
it fucks with your brain.
Yeah, yeah.
It's interesting. It's interesting because this
But that's
culture
what kind of makes him so great at the same
we
time.
there's I think there is like there's nothing more true than like trying to be interesting, you have to be authentic and yourself and have personality and stuff.
Yeah,
Like I believe that
yeah,
so deeply. But we also have this problem with our culture that enforces people to be mentally unstable for the sake of eccentricities and publicity
yeah.
too.
Which is
Because
weird. Yeah,
because like Alex Jones, like you mentioned earlier, is
yeah,
another case like that. It's just like, well, there's something wrong with that guy, like
for sure.
clearly, but like he's such a personality that it creates a phenomenon around it.
Well,
And
that's
it's like,
scary
or
too
fucking
because
Trump, dude. Trump's like a narcissist.
well,
He
that's
has like
what's
a
like
mental
frightening.
disorder.
That's what's frightening about those guys because they are spreading really
Scary
horrible.
shit. Yeah, scary
Like
shit.
Kanye's he's just a weirdo, man.
Yeah.
He's a weird artist, you
Yeah.
know. But
I mean,
he is gonna run for president.
yeah, that would be crazy when he runs for president. Jesus Christ, that'd be crazy. Oh my God, what if we're in like a position again though? It's just like if like Kanye like gets some like traction, which like I can't see how he would,
No.
but if he gets some traction and then like Trump, God forbid, Trump gets some traction again, then and we have to choose between like Trump and Kanye. Oh my God, can you imagine a world like that? Like I can't believe that Trump got elected. That like I'm not even like I'm like preparing for that option. Like I have to think about that now.
Kanye and Trump.
Kanye and Trump.
I'll probably go for Kanye, to be honest.
I'm just
Kanye
I mean,
and
like
Trump.
I know I don't like Trump, so maybe Kanye will do fine.
At least Kanye
Well, let's add subwoofers to the White House, dude. Why does the White
Yeah, I
House
feel
have to
like
be
when-
white, man? Let's
I feel
make this
when
paint
he
it
gets,
black.
Like, inaugurated, he like comes out and he's like performs like Runaway.
Yeah,
Welcome to Goosebumps.
bro. Yeah.
When he
I
just
mean,
does the like 10-minute auto-tune solo at the end
I would love it for
while
like
the flag is getting raised.
I would love for an artist to get elected president. I think that'd be really cool. But like I don't know, maybe like
Not him.
yeah, like
Maybe
rather,
not someone who's literally like unhinged.
maybe like oh fuck oh my God,
Kendrick?
like Kendrick would be a sweet president. Oh my God, Kendrick would be dope. I was thinking of the guy from Run the Jewels, the
Killer Mike.
Killer Mike, dude, would
he has
he
some
would
interesting
kill.
political news.
He would kill as being he's basically like he's like Bernie, you know?
Yeah.
He'd be like Bernie, and he's like, but he's more like charismatic and aggressive. So he'd be like, fuck you, socialism, bitch. And everyone would be like, dude, I'll do it.
Yeah, Killer Mike.
That'd be dope. Funny. President Killer Mike. I want that so bad. I want a reality where we have President Killer Mike or President Kendrick.
President Kendrick.
Do you think like if
President Nic Cage?
You know what's
President
funny? You know what's funny about Kendrick though is that he's probably smart enough to like actually like have a good campaign if he like really applied himself. He doesn't have the passion for it, but like he's smart enough for it.
He's having a good life. I'm convinced he's dead though.
Yeah, he's not.
No one's telling anybody.
That would suck. That would be really devastating.
Come back.
Come back. I don't know. Like maybe he's just chilling. It's just like I'm good. I mean, he made his mark. Like he like in history forever. He's in there.
That's true. But I think like me and Jeff were talking about this, and I think like what's happening with him is that he's probably made like 4 or 5 albums, and he just doesn't like any of them.
Yeah.
So he's just waiting until he's like, yeah, this is the one that I'm gonna put out.
Yeah. I think that's good though. I think
I don't care.
It'd just be nice to hear some new Kendrick.
Yeah. In 4 years.
Wow, that's a long time.
And meanwhile, we get like all these like the babies and all these being homophobic and fucking the baby's a moron. About all that shit. Right?
I haven't looked into that, but I've seen snippets of that, and it's like
it's a piece of garbage.
Because he just said some like really homophobic stuff. Guy. Like really
not only
homophobic.
That, so I mean it goes deeper than that. I don't really want to get into it, but he's a piece of shit.
Yeah.
I hope that he crumbles. I hope his career falls apart. Because it's one thing to so what he did was like Rolling Loud, this is like the special that happened this like past weekend. He said some wild, weird shit on stage that was pretty homophobic. And like, you could say that, maybe it was a joke, right? Maybe you see that, like, I saw a clip and I'm like, okay, that was fucking weird. It wasn't like outright like fuck gay people. It was like, raise your phones if you don't have AIDS or you're not sucking dick in the parking lot or whatever. Like it was homophobic for sure.
Yeah.
But it wasn't. But like I watched this clip and I was like, what the fuck this guy? But I also thought like, is this like a joke? Like is this a crude joke that he's making?
A joke gone bad.
Yeah. If it was, he easily could have just come out and been like, hey, like, sorry, this judgment, I don't need it. And I'd still be like, fuck you, but okay. Whatever. You're kind of an asshole. No, he like doubled down.
Yeah. Yeah, that's what I've been hearing about.
And he's saying, and then my favorite part about this whole situation is revealing other pieces of shit in the hip hop community. Like T.I., for example, who's been a rapper for years. He said the most neurotic shit I have ever seen in my life. Like, he was like, what's the difference between the baby's ideology and Little Nas X? And I was like, what? So, you're saying, let's break down what you're saying. So you're saying Lil Nas X being outwardly gay and being who he is, you know, is that his ideology, I guess, being who he is, is the same as the baby being homophobic. So there's no difference between that.
Yeah.
One is hurtful, and then one is not.
Yeah. That's such like a fucked up thing. That's such like a fucked up thing that like gets used as a comparison now. So like to say it's just like, well, what's the difference between like you being allowed to be who you are? Because like it's so stupid because like people who say that are obviously like you don't understand what like being gay means or being like trans means, because
Yeah.
it's not like you're thinking of it as
Oh,
being like a trend that you're like hooking onto or
I'm
something like
what?
that. It's like
If
no,
they
this is
wouldn't want to do that.
yeah, it's like
Why
this is
would they
a
want to do that?
exactly. It's just like, why would I choose to be someone who is so horrifically oppressed and like in danger of being murdered by such a much higher statistic? Like, this is just my identity, bro.
Yeah.
I'm not like
Yeah.
I'm not just like choosing a preference to say like,
It's
yeah,
insane.
that's like it's such
That
a
whole situation is
ugh.
fucking crazy. And I
Yeah.
like T.I. I was like, what the
Oh
fuck? I was
man.
like, what dude, that's crazy. And then when I also it just made me realize that Lil Nas X, like, I love what he's doing. I fucking love
Yeah.
so much what he's doing. It's
Because
just like,
the brilliant thing about what he's doing is that he's not like trying to make a statement. He's just like saying, it's just like, I don't care about these restrictions. I'm doing what I want. I'm just doing what I want.
Yeah, it's just like, it doesn't like his latest song, Industry Baby or whatever, the video for that, like had a like it's like he had a bunch of like naked dudes dancing in the prison, you know?
Yeah.
Like and like I just love like just how gay he is. It's great. You
Yeah.
know, it's just
Yeah.
like it's so in your face and so like this is who I am. Fuck you if you don't like it, you know? It's like anything else. It's like, dude, like if you don't like it, don't listen to it or move
Yeah.
on. If
You
you
know,
like actually waste your time getting mad at that, you got other fucking problems.
I feel like the fear of like God and Christianity is such like a dated thing now, that now like all this backlash that we're getting of it just seems so hilarious to me, because it's just like,
Yeah.
what are you worried about? That people are gonna have sex with each other? Aren't you having sex with people every once in a
Yeah.
while? You're just worried that that's gonna like
Every once in
happen
a while.
more? It's like,
But not at
what are
all.
you scared of? Yeah. Yeah, like seriously, if you're criticizing that, it's like you like I guess you're not like
Yeah.
not getting some or wishing you did.
Yeah.
Yo,
Exactly.
speaking of people who like are scary, incels are scary. Incels are scary
Oh,
people.
watch the documentary. The fucking
Yeah, Pepe Le
Real Kid
Frog.
Man.
Oh
It
my
is
god.
weird. I don't
Incels
really
are like,
realize how crazy like losers people like a lot of the community
dude,
of
yeah.
4chan is.
Yeah.
Like, whoa. Like, they, like, embrace being a fucking piece of garbage. Like, a
Yeah.
loser.
That's what the thing is like so disturbing about it. Is that you
They're
look
like,
at it.
yeah, like, there's this whole community that's like, I like living in my mom's basement, and I embrace living in my mom's basement.
Yeah,
There's
everyone's
this, like,
just like,
whole community where it's like, they share how disgusting their
yeah.
pigsty is and shit. They're like, the
Cause
fuck?
cause fuck society, cause I'm a rebel, like fucking,
Yeah,
like
sitting in like fucking. It's like it sounds like a joke, but
yeah.
there's actual people out there.
It's like
But
I'm like the Joker, dude. I'm like the Joker. I don't care
oh
about
yeah,
society. I'm
yeah,
like I'm
yeah,
anarchy, you know?
yeah, right.
Anarchy, fuck women, all that. Lesser.
I typed it. I typed it. And now I'm sitting in my mom's basement.
Why
So
why
this,
is
hold
why is
on.
this happening to my camera? Sorry.
I have to. I'm sitting in my own filth of my Mountain Dew Code Red
Yeah.
bottles everywhere. So
Pinnacle
many.
of society. Can you believe that evolution has spent all this time to create incels?
Yeah,
So depressing. So
pretty
depressing.
sad.
Bro, you came from fucking microbes. You started as microbes and you could have stopped there. But you made the decision to work
Yeah.
really hard to evolve into being this piece of shit that you are now. You could have stop at a monkey. You would have been chill at a monkey.
Yeah.
Everyone would have been fine with you if you were just like a chimpanzee or something. No one cares about an insult chimpanzee. They can't say what they're thinking about. Just stay a fucking monkey, dude. Just stop like a couple steps back.
But the good news is, I mean, incels are, I mean, what are they gonna do?
Yeah. I mean,
What are
like,
they gonna do?
yeah, man. Fuck it. You want to talk about Pig?
Internet shit.
Yeah. Let's talk about Pig. Oh, dude. This is episode 100. This is 100.
Yeah.
Hey, thanks for listening to us 100 times.
Oh, yeah, it's true. I can't believe. Oh, my God. I feel like now, as the podcast is getting, like longer and we've been doing it for so long,
Yeah.
we just known each other for so long, we like get in these conversations that are just so like more like charged. Like we're just
Yeah.
like this, fuck this, you know? It
Well, we're
started like a fun podcast with us just talking about movies.
yeah.
Now it's turned into like uh fucking self.
Well, we're like
Here's why.
comfortable. We're comfortable with like each other. We're so comfortable with each other that it's just like, dude, you know what I fucking hate? Like deep down to a core, like a deep hatred, like so deep of kind of a hatred that I wish it
Llamas.
was already burning in hells. Llamas. Fuck llamas. But
Yeah.
yeah,
So
it's
yeah,
funny.
so Pig.
Pig.
This is a movie that came out super recently. Like very recently. I want to say like 2 weeks ago. And
Yeah.
this is the directorial debut of a guy named
Yeah. I don't know
Michael
this guy.
Sarnowski.
Yeah.
Um, and so, quick backstory about this movie. And I think this is good to frame this for people who want to see this movie or heard about this movie. So before I saw the trailer, or I actually didn't, I didn't see the trailer. I didn't see the trailer. I
I
don't
don't
watch
think I
trailers
did either.
anymore.
Yeah, I don't
I
either.
made a thing that I don't watch them anymore.
Yeah.
Only when I'm in theaters. Um, and it's just better that way. But um, so all I heard was it was a movie starring Nicolas Cage where his pig gets stolen and he's out for his pig. He
Yep.
gets revenge on the people who stole his pig. And I said, that sounds like the best movie ever made. So what I was expecting was what I think most people who go into this movie, and I think I know my friends who heard of this movie thought it was going to be kind of a, and I understand Nicolas Cage being in the kinds of movies that he is now. You would expect this movie to be this like ridiculous, over the top, corny movie where this guy's I want my pig back, like
Right.
that
Right.
shit, right? John
Right.
Wick, I want my pig back.
Right.
Um, Surprisingly, this is a wonderful movie, in my opinion. I think that this movie is fucking great. And it is genuinely um beautiful and subtle and thematically like rich and very interesting. And
Yeah.
something like that I really haven't seen before. Um this movie is really unique and it is not corny at all. I mean, there is this is a very um there's some humor to it, but it's very somber and it's very um it's not portrayed in a way that you would think a Nicolas Cage movie about getting his pig back is.
Yeah.
Um and so what this movie is about is Nicolas Cage plays a truffle hunter. Um and he has a pig, a truffle pig, who hunts who's truffle for him, and he lives in a cabin in like the woods outside of Portland.
Yeah.
And
Completely off the
he,
grid, isolated
yes,
entirely.
and he basically sells his truffles that he's found to Alex Wolf's character, who is in the culinary, world in
Alice Wolf
Portland.
is the son from Hereditary.
And most famously the Naked Brothers band. And the best thing he's ever been in. Yeah, Hereditary.
Undoubtedly.
He's in a bunch of shit. He's a great actor.
He's kind of
Um,
he's really his career is really in a strive now.
yeah. And so he sells him to Alex Wolff, and what happens in this movie is that his pig gets stolen. His truffle pig gets stolen by people in the culinary industry. They stole it, and he basically goes on a adventure, if you will, to get his pig back.
Yep.
And um, so that is what the movie's about. It is about him getting a pig back, but it's not. It's portrayed in a realistic way. It's not an action movie. It's
It's
not over
not
the top.
Mandy. It's not
It's not
Mandy.
Mandy. It's not John Wick.
No.
It's a very subtle movie. And one of the thing that I first want to just we don't have to talk about this. But Nicolas Cage is he's amazing in this.
Yeah.
He's absolutely
He is.
if
He
you
really
don't
is.
if you're still this weird fucking guy who thinks that Nick Cage is not a good actor, I don't know what to fucking tell you. I'll give you a list of 15 to 20 movies that you should see where he's incredible and not screaming at the top of his lungs, you know?
Yeah.
Um, and this is an amazing Nick Cage performance. It is extremely subtle, it is nuanced, and it's amazing. So Nick Cage is he's incredible in this. And but another thing that I found to be like that's something super surprising, and I think what most people will be surprised about when they see this is the culinary aspect to this movie and kind of the themes about the culinary industry. That really is what this movie is kind of about. Like it's kind of about loss, grief with Nic Cage, but the whole other side of the movie is about the culinary industry.
Mm-hmm.
And it's really interesting. And the themes of it are like I've never seen a movie tackle the kind of the bougie culinary life
Yeah.
that is bullshit, and how the take on that in this movie I thought was extremely fresh and interesting. Um, so that was probably my favorite part of this movie, for sure. Just how unique I thought that was, and just the take of it off on that world in this movie that I just was not expecting like at all. You know?
Yeah. I feel like this film was also one that I went in without any really anticipations or
Yeah.
expectations, because I was just sort of sold on the star power of Nick Cage, because I really like how just extreme and ridiculous of a character he was, and I knew that if this movie was going to be a success I would like it, and if it was not going to be a success I would probably like it, because it's
Yeah.
fun to watch Nick Cage just be in a terrible movie too,
Yeah.
even
Right.
if because he's just such a specimen, right?
Yeah. Right.
He's
Yeah.
such a specimen.
And to be honest, man, like he in this movie is not. I mean, it's a very there are a couple like great Nick Cage moments, but it's not the showy performance. Like that's what I'm kind
No.
of trying to get at. Is it's very subtle.
Yeah.
It's a nuanced performance. It's
No,
not like
I really agree.
a
Yeah,
typical Nick Cage performance.
I really agree. I think nuance is a really good word for it. And when I first saw it, when I watched it after the first time viewing it, and I left the theater, which was really cool. This is the first time I've seen a movie in theaters for a really, really long time.
That's cool.
I kind of felt like I really liked the idea and the uniqueness of it at first. This is how I felt at first. And then, but I felt like the story was kind of hollow. I felt like there wasn't a lot of substance to it.
Sure, yeah.
But as like I kind of thought about it a little bit more, I was thinking about like this theme of loss and stuff, and it started to connect a little bit more. And sort of like this hollowness of it, I think I kind of started to attribute more to like the heart of what the film was trying to be, which was kind of like this really interesting like just somber look of what it looks like to be this really unique person, Nick Cage character of being an ex-chef who is like this extreme
elite
chef, and then returning into this world under these really bizarre circumstances, but playing it in a super realistic and simplistic way, and just leaving it really open-ended, which is kind of like it's frustrating for me. I found it initially frustrating, but not in a bad way after I sat with it in a while, because I felt like,
that's funny because I felt like incredibly satisfied
yeah,
by the
I,
ending of this movie
I was I
and just the
it
way
took
that it went.
I
But
took so it took me some work to kind of accept it, but
mm,
I do kind of like it. I do think that the third act of this is significantly weaker than like the
sure,
second and first act. I think the first and second act are like the real juicy and genius
yeah,
bits of the film, and it sucks when a movie has like a weaker third act relative to the first two thirds, because it really, I think for people, it really colors the experience. Like how you end a film and wrap things up really colors the whole experience. So
yeah,
regardless
sure, yeah,
of how genius it can be, that can really affect how you like experience it at the end of
sure,
the day, because it's like that's like the moment where it tells you like what it is. It reveals itself what all of it was. And I
yeah,
think like the ending and how this wraps up is really like appropriate to it. I don't have a problem with the ending like at all. I think the
mm,
ending's really good. Um but like my favorite bits was like, the adventure. It was the adventure, it was
yeah,
the situation, it was relationship between Alex Wolff and Nic Cage's character.
yeah,
It was like them going through this like all the weird like kind of
sure.
surreal like places in Portland, and
So
talking to
yeah, that
the
kind of gets
chef
to like
culture.
something that one of the things that I love about this is how this is set up. Is that you don't know much about Nick Cage's character, and
Yeah, which I love that setup. I think
you
that's really cool.
discover who he is kind of through Alex Wolff's character, and there's this there's this movie has a really like what you're getting at is kind of the like when he first initially uh basically forces Alex Wolff to be like, you gotta get that kid back.
Yeah, yeah,
I want my kid. Um, he so they go to like all these like around. We're like, what? How does this guy know about all these different places in Portland? And when he goes, the movie, I knew I kind of was super into this movie and really loved it when he goes to the Fight Club. When he
yeah.
goes,
That's a weird scene. Yeah,
so he is trying to get information about who stole his pig, and he knows that it's somebody in the culinary industry. That's the only person that would know who would want a truffle pig and who
yeah,
would know where he was, and who he is. And so there's this guy, Isaac, who runs like this. I think that's his name. And he runs a fight club, and he goes, and it's like, and he's like, listen, like, I know this guy knows uh who like who has it, who has my thing, and so they
yeah,
go and to the secret like compartment in this restaurant, and he's walking down, and he's walking like he's been there before, right? And you're like,
what
what
is
is
going
going on?
on?
And he walks in, and it's a fight club, and people are, it's fight club, so people are betting on who's gonna win, who's gonna get knocked out first. And what I'm getting at is like what I love about this movie and a lot of movies that have a kind of tortured and central character like this is that they show us kind of the history of the character without really explaining it to us. Like when he arrives at the Fight Club and he writes his name on the wall, everybody looks at him like he's like a god, and you're
Yeah,
like,
right.
oh, like who is this guy? And everybody starts putting money down
Yeah,
to bet, and you're led to believe that in a previous life maybe he frequented, this fight club, or just
yeah,
had. And I love that aspect of it, just like watching and literally just learning more and more about this guy just through the story, through the actions of it, not
yeah,
necessarily like um him like having to explain everything. And and not a lot of things are explained.
Yeah, I
Like
like that.
the thing that really also struck me is like the main kind of like pull of like why he wants this pig so much, like why he wants it so bad. He loves it,
I loved that moment. I thought that was
and
so great. I thought that was
but
so
like
great.
it hits like really hard
Yeah.
because you watch him go through. He gets his ass fucking pummeled to like a pulp just to get this one information on like where it could possibly be. He doesn't clean up at all. That's like one of my favorite things that he goes throughout this whole
Yeah.
movie taking
Yeah.
no clothes,
Yeah.
just has scars and doesn't even wash up at all. Is so driven to get this pig back. And the end of the day, it's I I love it. And
Yeah.
but also it's you learn to in the beginning it's set up that he lost Laura, who you don't actually I think it was his wife or significant other,
Yeah,
but
it's his
you're kind
wife.
of yeah, but it's kind of cool because you're not really like you don't really know. Like it's not like it's just kind of this person
And
that means a lot to him. I
I like
thought it
that they
was
did that.
yeah, I loved it too. No, I think
I
that
love
that's
that they did
amazing.
that.
Yeah, that was my point. I think that that's incredible. You don't
Yeah.
need to know. Like it's just a person that meant a lot to him
Yeah.
in some way. And so what I loved is that really that he, because of the loss of Laura and this pig, meant a lot to him because it's something to care about. And it's something that, and
Yeah.
the pig, the ending to me represents that the pig kind of being taken from him is just kind of another, you know, loss that he's been taking. And
Yeah.
using that tape at the end as, this release of like this is just and looking up and that this movie's amazing, beautifully shot, by the way.
Yeah.
Like incredible cinematography.
Really
And
good
there's
cinematography.
a an awesome shot of him just looking up, like listening to Laura sing this folk song.
Yeah.
It's just like to me it felt a lot of closure. And it was like he was kind of accepting that this is just part of life. Loss is just kind of part of it, and I'm gonna have to live with this.
And I think
Um,
I think that the other reason why this movie also has such a it functions so well is because it's not just a movie that's centered around like because a lot of movies like this sometimes has like one actor that's really good and then you got a whole bunch of
oh
people who
yeah,
are mediocre,
all the
but you
performances are great in this movie.
exactly, and especially the relationship between Nick Cage and Alex Wolff, their
Yes, and
characters.
Alex Wolf's character I thought was incredible. I
I thought he was
thought that
so
like
good.
such a
I
well
loved
fleshed
him.
out character, and that's a whole other side. That's the whole culinary kind of side of this movie that I thought was really interesting. And
And I feel like the story, what it kind of ends up being, was a development of really
their
because like
friendship,
and Alex's Wolf character like kind of finding like redemption and be
right?
escaping from that, you
Exactly.
know,
Right.
because
Yeah.
and then it's like at the very end, it's like Alex Wolf replaces that place of the pig for Nick Cage, you
Right.
know, it's like a
Exactly.
person to live for, and that's just
Exactly.
like
Right.
that's kind of like the resolution
Yeah.
that
Absolutely.
like the whole film, it's like the potential of what happens after this,
Yeah.
because that's kind of like the thing that hit me after a while was like I was sitting with it and feeling kind of unresolved, and I was realizing it's just like, well, this is the point of loss, you know, the point of
Exactly.
loss is that when you lose someone you love or a pig that you love, you you know, you can like decide to like not live anymore. You can commit suicide, but you also have to decide if you want to just keep living. And
Yeah.
that's a
Right.
hard decision to make. It's hard to
Yeah.
decide like I'm miserable, but I have to keep living. I'm still
Yeah.
alive, you know? So like
Exactly.
what do you
Right.
do? And this is like such a interesting and unique meditation on
Yeah.
that concept.
Yeah. Exactly. And like that part of the movie is so like well, just honestly, like it's a perfect portrayal of it. Like I just think like that. It's just that hit me so hard, and Nick Cage's performance was just so like well realized, and the pig aspect, like a pig is a funny like animal, right?
Yeah.
But the way that this movie like makes you really feel for this pig, um, such a cute pig,
Oh, it's such
and
a great.
the
They really
way
get you fucking hooked on it at the
and that
beginning.
scene when it's taken is horrifying. It's terrible. It's so disturbing. You
Yeah.
hear it squeals. You hear it's all shot one take, very disorienting, kind of one take of that whole sequence.
Yeah.
Um, was super powerful, and but with the Alex Wolf character, like I think you're so right. It's like yeah, it's absolutely like their relationship is so developed like so beautifully, and it's like again, it's subtle. It's just subtle.
Yeah.
It's just little subtleties. Like when they go to the diner after they find out that the pig died, unfortunately.
That's
Uh,
a great scene too. I love that scene.
with the dad.
Well, the scene at the
Oh
diner
yeah,
you're
in the
talking about.
diner.
Yeah.
Yeah. So they basically shake hands and was like, "Are you gonna be all right?" Like, yeah.
Yeah.
Which is kind of mirroring this amazing moment when like the pig is like goes up to Nic Cage. Like, remember that moment when there's
I
a
think
moment in the
so.
beginning of the movie where uh, Nic Cage is like very like I can't remember why, but the pig comes up and he just looks at the pig and goes, "I'll be all right." Like
Yeah. Yeah, yeah,
losing the
yeah.
pig is like he the pig was checking on him,
Yeah. Yeah, yeah. Yeah. I know
and
what you're talking about.
he says the same thing to Alex Wolff at the end of the film, and then when they kind of shake hands, Alex gets in the car and the music starts. This corny ass classical music that he's playing. He stops it and then just kind of sits there and like goes to sleep, like just kind of sleep, lays down in his car. And it's kind of like just a subtle moment of this arc that's ending where it's like, okay, well, I have a new friend now, and I don't, I it changed him in a way
Yeah. Yeah,
being
yeah.
with this guy, and
Absolutely. Yeah.
this is great. But I do want to talk about like the culinary side of it, because I thought that was just awesome. Like it
I
was
like
so
that too.
unique to this movie, and that's really to me what makes this stand out. Is that there's a lot of movies that are about this, like grief and loss and like losing
Yeah.
something we love. But what makes this to me stand out amongst like a lot of other films is that critique of the culinary arts that I thought was like brilliant. Like I
Yeah.
was like, this is like I've never seen anything like this. And that world, the world of truffle hunting, the way that it's like in the beginning of this movie, like kind of subtly kind of introduced where like all these people who kind of live in trailers and things like
Yeah.
that. That it's like a business where these people just find truffles all day and sell
Yeah.
them to corporate restaurants
For
and
apparently for like a lot of money.
for
Like
a
it's a
lot of
really big
truffles. Yeah,
business.
yeah, huge
Yeah.
business. And and then Alex Wolff's character like being in the shadow of his dad, whose dad's like a huge corporate, asshole, restaurant
Yeah.
guy.
Yeah.
And probably my favorite scene in the movie, and one of my favorite Nick Cage scenes in any movie, is when they go to the restaurant that he suspects that
Oh,
he knows
yeah.
who that this is the guy who stole our pig or has something to do with it.
Yeah.
He the chef, they this movie actually has some really funny moments in this. Like I
Yeah.
know like painting this is like a really solid movie, but there's actually parts of this that are very like upbeat directed and
It
very like
honestly it feels pretty lighthearted throughout the
it's
whole
fun.
thing.
It is
Yeah.
lighthearted. Yeah, it is. And relative. There's not a violent movie. It's not, it's just kind of a melancholic
Yeah.
film. But
Yeah.
like it's not like, something like I don't know, an interactive movie like Beautiful or fucking 21 Grams or something like that.
Yeah,
That's
yeah.
just
Yeah.
so fucking like I want to die.
Yeah, the whole
But
time.
yeah, and but So they go to this restaurant and they get served this just bullshit meal
Yeah.
that's it's like freeze dried. It's like this weirdo thing,
Yeah. Yeah.
and the way that he asks for the chef and he brings this guy out and he recognizes him. He worked for
Yeah.
him, and when Nick Cage grills the shit out
It's
of him
the best.
about, do you like
It's the
this?
best.
Do you like cooking? But he says it so I mean, you can tell that it is breaking this guy down, like the
Yeah.
way that he's talking to him. And it's such a funny scene, but it's also such a it's so true. Like
Yeah.
everything that
Yeah.
he's
Yeah.
saying
Yeah.
is
Yeah. Yeah.
so spot on. And it's fascinating. It's like the part where he's like, do you think this is real? I think
Yeah.
this is real. It's just and just freaking this guy out and breaking him down to the point where he gives him information about, where the pig is.
Yeah.
Um, but and then again, another culinary thing is that the climax of the movie, which at first I thought was kind of corny and weird, but the more I thought about it, the more I actually kind of love it. And I think it might be what you're referring to, like the third act not being as good,
Yeah.
where basically the climax of the film is that his dad, he finally goes to Alpha's dad, and because he's the one that stole his pig,
Yeah.
who orchestrated to do it. And the dad is a fucking piece of garbage. He's an asshole. He's like, I'll give you
Yeah.
fucking $15,000 at your house this day. I just want your fucking pig. And so Nick Cage said, I'm going to get him. Because throughout the whole film, Alex Wolff tells about this meal that they had. His
Yeah.
wife, who he's still keeping alive, who tried to kill herself, but he's still keeping her alive.
Yeah.
Um, and this meal that they cooked, and Alex Wolff was like, "Oh, you're the guy who cooked this meal for them."
Yeah.
And so what he's going to do is that he's going to make that exact meal and serve it to the guy and break him down basically
Yeah.
and give him his pig. And when I saw that was the way that the movie was going, I was like, this is
Yeah.
kind of corny, but I thought the way that it was portrayed was really if that whole thing was all about the execution. If it wasn't executed to me as well as it was, that whole dramatic scene where
Yeah.
he really does have the memory of because food really can do that. It elicits memories and it elicits, you know, um, feelings that you have in the past. Nostalgia, this has for me for sure.
Yeah.
Um, and really breaking this guy down and remembering his wife who is obviously still broken by it because he's still
Yeah.
keeping her alive, which is, you know, crazy, in some way.
Yeah.
And that whole scene, I just thought it was such an interesting climactic scene that I had never really seen in a movie. And
Yeah.
so it actually did work for me. But I can
So,
totally see why.
well, my criticism is not with that scene. And what I'm glad this is exactly you're hitting the nail on the head of where I think the problem area is with this movie, because I think that this movie is perfect in its execution of what it wants to do until the
Yeah.
scene that you just talked about of Nick Cage grilling that guy and they find out that it's Alex's Wolf's dad who has the pig, which
Yeah.
that was perfect, that transition,
Oh
and then
yeah.
figuring
Oh
out it
yeah.
was
Yeah.
Alex's
Yeah.
Wolf dad.
Right.
And then we go on to the whole situation with Alex's Wolf's dad. And I still don't I don't understand. Okay, so one of the problems is that this might work better for me on a second viewing as well. I think I'll hold that opinion, all of this might gel way better once I see it for a second time. But the problem that I have is that I think that the character of Alex Wolf's dad, the big truffle mongol,
Yeah.
is the performance of that actor is executed excellently.
He's great.
but the concept of the character, I think, is shallow and underdeveloped.
Yeah, I
In,
mean,
in
I
a
can see
way,
he's definitely like I can definitely agree with that. Um, that there is definitely like a kind of mustache twirling type vibe that he
yeah,
like gets
he
out, where it's
just.
just like a bit like a villain.
And it's like I believe the relationship that they built up until then, and then that presentation of it was like, you have the actor to do this relationship, and
Yeah,
it just didn't really, it didn't have the time or quite the scenes to hit correctly,
with
because like,
the relationship between his Alex Wolf and him.
yeah, Alex Wolf and
Yeah.
him, and I
Well,
think,
I kind of disagree with that because he wasn't in his life. I mean, like to me, it was clear that like it was an estranged relationship, and so like I just think like actually having them be estranged from each other and not have a lot of scenes like together or anything like that
yeah,
just kind of illustrates to me like
I don't think it needs a scene with a confrontation between the dad and Alex Wolf.
oh
I don't necessarily think that that needs to happen. That's not what I'm feeling like misses. The problem that what I'm really thinking about was like, I feel like the way they worked up to the dinner scene, which is essential and perfect, is a great way to like do the
yeah
movie, and them cooking it wasn't done right. I don't think that they built to
sure
that right, and then they transitioned
yeah
out of that well, because I thought it was like the scene where they were, it was Nic Cage and the dad, the first introduction. That was fine. That was a good scene. And then the contradiction right after the dinner, those two scenes like conflicted with each other's too much, because in that scene the dad was like the mob boss and scared Nic Cage off,
yeah
and then it was revealed that the pig was dead like this whole time, which is like, both of those things are fine,
yeah
but it was like they're too conflicting, and they didn't synergize to me. And it was
well
like,
yeah sure I mean I think like yeah I guess I mean I think like there he I don't know I don't really have a problem with that. You know, it's just kind of like seemed like that he just wanted to like pay him off, you know, just be like give him the money and you know, like just who cares if the pig died, you know, it's a fucking pig.
but if
You
he
know?
like if he really felt like that, why didn't he just tell him that the pig was dead from the outset, and then Nic Cage would have fucked off?
Yeah, that's true. I mean, I don't know. I mean I really don't know.
And
Um maybe I mean he knew who he was.
right.
It's not like this random guy. He knew like who Nick Cage was, so there might have been some like um I don't know, like respect there still a little bit.
Yeah.
But I mean, I guess you're right. I mean, I
I
guess
think I
like
think
it is a
this
little weird
is
that it is a little weird that he wanted to say like, yeah, the pig died. You know?
I don't necessarily, I logically and find what happened believable and to be fine. I think
Yeah,
it was in the way that they executed it. It, when I watched it, I kind of had to go back in my viewing
yeah,
and connect those pieces. And I think
yeah,
they
yeah,
could have
yeah.
executed that better to make the dinner scene hit harder and to take away from like the
Exactly,
illogicalness of it. So I feel
exactly.
like, and I
Yeah.
feel like this movie is so subtle
Hold
that
on.
when you have like a problem like that, then it can really disrupt the flow of the subtleties, which is what happened to me in my viewing experience. But I feel
Yeah,
like too, I'm curious if I watched it again, if I wouldn't feel like that. You know what I mean? And
yeah,
I don't know if I wouldn't feel like that, or maybe I'd be able to articulate a little bit more of what kind of like rubbed me the wrong way. But like in
yeah,
that area is where I felt there, my initial
yeah.
viewing felt
No,
there
I
was a
can see that.
weakness.
Yeah,
Yeah.
no, I get it. I definitely get it. Um, I also like I like yeah. I'm trying to think of like problems I have with this.
Yeah.
'Cause, like I
My other nitpicky problem, this is super subjective, I say,
yeah
but there was two scenes which were some critical points of like, there were arguments between Alex Wolff and Nic Cage. And I think that they were supposed to be, this was a thematic decision by the cinematographer, but they shot the scenes, which was the scene when they were first going into the fight club and they were like breaking into the secret entrance, and Alex Wolf
Yeah.
and Nic Cage are fighting, and then the scene by the Camaro. They did those in the cinematography was done with nauseating handheld,
Yeah.
and I thought that was like a shame that they shot it like
I
that,
have no idea what you're talking about. But,
because
like I don't notice shit like that. You know, I just think it adds to it. But
which is like for me, I hate it,
yeah.
but I
Yeah.
hate it stylistically. I think it like ruins the moment, like
Yeah.
for me. But like for you, I'm like that's why I wanted to bring it up,
Well, I
because
think
if it didn't
also
bother you at all,
for most people it doesn't.
yeah,
There's a reason they shoot it like that.
yeah.
But yeah, no, I mean,
I have like a big, like deep, like philosophical, like a film analytical analysis of why I think it wouldn't communicate the idea better. But at the end of the day, I could go into that and it might just be like, it doesn't matter. And some people really connected with it too. And it could just be my preference.
well, then clearly people do connect with it.
Yeah. But
You
what I'm saying is I don't. I'm saying
Yeah,
I
that's
don't
fine.
connect with it,
Yeah.
and it disrupted. And those
Yeah.
were such important moments that it disappointed me in
Yeah.
my bias that I couldn't connect with it because of
Yeah.
the way it was presented too.
Yeah, sure.
That was a bummer for me, and maybe other people who are in the minority like me too. So
Maybe.
that was a nitpicking thing.
Yeah. I don't have a problem with that.
Which is good.
But yeah, there's another thing that I really wanted to say. Yeah, also to the point where they also like to the idea that like how they just revealed more what is his fucking Rob?
Oh yeah, Rob.
Rob's
Robin Weld.
Robin, yeah. The character and how he like just like how like when he decides he's gonna prepare this meal and when he sends Alex Wolf on getting all these ingredients, like we learn just a lot about that character, but about Robin as a character is through these other people. You know, through the wine lady who they got that secret wine stash, and when he goes
Oh
to
yeah.
the bakery and all that stuff. It's just like I love how Robin's character, his information is just peppered throughout the whole film, and it's not this like dump where it's like, here's who I am, you know, like it easily could have been like after like Al's Wolf season get fucking beat up. Al's Wolf could have been like, and he did, I think, but he go like, who are you? You know, like who the fuck? And he doesn't explain it.
He doesn't
And like,
say,
I
yeah.
love that it's just peppering throughout the movie, and it's like it just adds so much more to like the discovery of him.
Well, the point that you just made and the point you're making is that they even executed even better than I think you're giving it credit for too. Not this is a criticism on you, because the moment you just brought up, they brilliantly avoided this like film crime of doing the big expedition bump, but they still used it to the benefit of getting the main point, because that dinner scene, like right after the fight, is when they introduced the idea of his dad having that connection at his meal. So which is like a really like behind the scenes way of introducing the third act. Like you don't know that's what the third act's gonna be, but that's like that moment was critically important. And you could miss it, which is how it should be done.
But also like it's just more interesting because when you learn things like that after like just later in the film, you just all these maybe weird behaviors or something that you would see previously that Rob did make more sense. You know, the loss of Laura. You don't know.
Yeah.
He does play this tape in the beginning, but you're like, who's this lady that he just played this tape on for like half a second?
Yeah.
You know, and it just makes it more dynamic. It's more, more interesting than your typical, you know, movie. And I thought that was amazing. And I do think that when it is revealed that the pig is dead, I love how the film went silent. There's like this there's some really good sound design in this movie that I kind of
I actually do. I like the sound design a lot.
I don't really notice that much. In films, but I was just thinking like this sounds really good sound design for like a movie like this.
the
Um,
Foley, it's kind of going on a digression here about sound design, because that was one of the things that I actually really did enjoy. And I remember like early on in watching films that was one of the moments that I realized that like a through line between films that I liked was like the experience of what it's like watching characters. Like, this is why I like The Conversation so much,
mhm.
because like the sound design, especially when that character is like pressing the buttons on the tape
Oh yeah,
recorders, is just like they designed that sign so well so that you got the performance, but then the sound wasn't like was complementing it, but was obviously
exactly.
designed. And that's how
Yeah,
this
yeah,
film felt,
exactly. Yeah,
where like where
yeah,
literally when he's putting in the tape is very much like The Conversation in the, the
yeah,
what
right.
the sounds you're hearing, but then
Yeah,
also like the sound of the pig, the sound of him like
yeah,
scratching the pig, like
yes,
Nick Cage
yeah,
sounds dirty, if that makes sense. He
right.
just sounds
Yeah,
dirty like
right.
throughout the whole film.
Yeah,
And
yeah,
like Alex Wolf character sounds clean. Like it really
yeah,
feels like that. It's
yeah,
weird, but like
yeah.
it's really artfully done.
Yeah, it's really, really, really good. And yeah, but I love how like it just goes silent
Yeah, that
during that
moment's good.
scene. Not hearing his screams, not hearing his, you know, folks have done that, but for some reason, like it just kind of hit me more on this. That just like,
And
because
Nick Cage
you're with
is,
this guy, it was amazing now, but
yeah.
you're with this guy the whole movie, and it's like I want my pig. That's all I
Yeah,
want.
yeah,
I
yeah.
want. And like when it just is this journey was basically to nothing. It's devastating.
Yeah.
Um,
And also because Nick Cage is so famous for his scream, it's a really good it's a cool
yeah,
decision to
that's
make, to
very true.
choose to like silence that
That's very
moment.
true. That's very true. And I think they were thinking about that. They were actually
Yeah.
very, very. There's the only there's the only like one Nick Cage moment in this movie,
I think I
and
know
it's when
exactly what you're
he
talking about.
steals the kid's bike. And he looks at the kid's like, "Where's my bike?" Ah! He screams at the fucking kid and rides right away.
Which is
I
like, I
was
love that.
laughing so hard.
Oh my god. And
I
it's
thought
funny.
that was so funny.
It's so great because it's such a funny Nick Cage moment, but it doesn't take away from the plot, because it also, because
No,
that's like the one moment where he loses his cool, and it's like he
yeah,
just got an argument with Alex Wolf and he's like, "I'm getting my pig. Don't fuck with me."
yeah,
It's
right.
like it's so
Yeah,
good.
it was
It's
great.
so good.
Yeah, that was like the only moment that I could kind of point
Yeah,
to.
I
It's
think
like,
you're right.
here's the where like, what
Like
did you say
maybe
in the work
maybe
again?
maybe when he's like when he's beat bashing the Camaro, like maybe that's kind of like
Kinda. I
Nick
mean, like
Cagey, but like,
but it's
but
not like
it's not like iconically Nick
cookies.
Cage. Yeah.
Ah!
Yeah. It's not like that.
It's not that, you know? It's
I
not
have
like
uh, I, I have a Nick Cage related question for you regarding this
not a
movie.
shark or something. That's like my
Because
favorite thing ever.
I feel like I
Uh,
feel this movie's really interesting because it's a really subtle movie, but it's like it really is foundationally based on Nick Cage as a character actor too.
yeah,
Uh,
absolutely, yeah.
and
Yeah.
I was thinking about the fact, like I was curious what you
You
would
mean
say.
like as a actor?
Like
Like a meta kind of thing? Like
yeah, yeah,
I
I
think you
think
can look
so.
at it like that. I don't really see it like that, but I mean I think you can I think you can 100% do that.
But
For
like
sure.
my question specifically is like I feel like what this would go in the category of for me, and like when I'm watching stuff is in like Nick Cage movies, and as opposed to like somebody else's movies.
Yeah. I
And
mean like
I was
well, I
wondering
mean
if you like were sitting down to watch a Nick Cage movie, would this be something that you would like pick from
I mean,
that
no.
selection?
I mean, it depends on like. So when you say Nick Cage, like I am not an actor guy. Like I don't
Yeah.
really care who's in the movie. Like there are times where like I do, but like for the most of the time, like actor's an actor. Like I've seen I'm Daniel Day-Lewis is an incredible actor. I've seen movies where I don't like that he's in. Like it's
Hmm.
just, I don't like a movie because an actor's in it, not a
Sure.
movie.
Sure. Sure. Sure.
Um, but but like it depends on like what type of movie you want. Because like Nicolas Cage is good at like he's run the gamut of performances, you know? It's
Right,
like
right.
you watch Mandy where he's subtle and insane at the same time. Or you can watch adaptation where it's just like very just subtle and funny
Yeah.
performance.
I, I,
Or you can watch Wicker Man.
yeah.
Depends what mood you're in.
I mean, like what I guess what I'm talking about is like is the conversation of longevity of this movie, because for me when I
Oh,
was watching this,
I
but
think it's a
like
great movie.
but like for me like when I'm thinking about Pig, I'm really enjoyed my first viewing of it, and I think I'll watch it a second time, but
Yeah,
I'm not sure if it'd be something that I would continue watching beyond that. Like I don't know if
yeah.
I want to buy the Blu-ray of it for it.
Yeah, yeah.
Like
I
how
mean,
do
like,
you
I don't know. I mean, I'll definitely want to see it again. But this movie isn't like it's not like a Mandy where it's like this like feast from your eyes where you like kind of want to like return to it all. It's just fucking sad movie.
yeah.
It's about like it's sad. Like it's
But okay, let's compare it to something like Manchester behind this, but like by the sea, like that
okay.
movie, right?
Yeah,
Because it's like that's kind of it's like Manchester by
I
the
will
Sea is
never watch that movie again.
okay, yeah.
And I
So
thought it
it's
was brilliant, and I'll
yeah,
never watch it again.
but that's the kind of movie like that's forever going to be a part of my being. You know what I
Yeah,
mean? And it's just
yeah,
like I'm not saying that Pig has to do that to be good, but
yeah.
like that's kind of like what I'm thinking about here on like the spectrum of things is
Are you
is
asking me if I
like
was just like watching it again?
yeah, like do you feel like this is a movie that you would need to return to, like, or
Yeah,
would want to
I think
return
so.
to, but
Yeah.
like I guess like how many times and for how long? Do you think
Oh,
like forever or something like that?
I mean, I don't know. I mean, it's hard to tell. Yeah,
Yeah,
I
but
don't know. I mean,
like something like Mandy is a good example, because like when I watch this movie or like a Studio Ghibli movie or something, it's like I instantly know I'm gonna watch that movie like a million times
so
or
well,
something
okay.
like
Here's
that.
a question. Like, the thing about me is that I don't really like. I'm not like I don't right now. I am not a rewatcher. I do
Yeah,
not. I when I watch a movie, when I decide to watch a movie, I'm watching something I haven't seen before. Like I'm
yeah,
sitting down and
yeah,
I'm
right.
watching something else. And like for example, like I have friends who would love this movie. Like what I'm getting at like earlier is that the culinary aspect of this, like I have never seen a movie that tackles something like that, like
Yeah,
in the way that this movie goes.
yeah,
So it actually is very unique in that way to me.
yeah,
So
yeah.
like if I had a friend who was a chef or really into the culinary arts or
You
something,
watch it with
I
them
would be
then
like,
or
hey,
something.
watch it, yeah, or I watch it with them. Like you should watch this movie. It's really interesting.
Yeah.
Um, like so in that way, I think like I how I do like rewatching things and stuff is like it's all about the mood. It's like about like this movie like this gave me a unique experience, you know. And do
Yeah.
I want to go through that unique experience again? That's why I like buying Blu-rays because you can like or streaming services like you can just like scroll and be like, oh, do I want to experience that again? Like, okay, yeah, sure. I don't know. Maybe one day I will. I don't know.
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
like, but I think I'm more inclined that I will return to this like a few times just because I did think it was a really unique experience. And it's cool. It's a cool Nick Cage performance. It's not like this over the top, corny Nick Cage performance. So like,
Yeah.
it's interesting in that regard. It's dynamic if you're like looking at Nick Cage's career. This is a
Yeah.
really interesting movie in his career. That it's a very subtle. Like a lot of different Oscar for this movie. He might. I
Yeah,
hope he does.
sure.
That'll be fucking
Yeah.
cool
It'd be
shit.
cool. It would be really cool.
This movie got like nominated for Oscars. I mean, it's a fucking great. It's a really good movie, and it's like, and it's not like so weird or whacked out that like the Academy wouldn't like it. It's a very like well made movie. Instead of taking like this crazy genre of like I'm gonna find my fucking pit like that kind of movie. Like
Yeah.
give me my fucking daughter back, like that kind of movie.
Yeah,
But
right,
making
right.
it subtle and making it like actually like impactful and not kind of corny or like an action movie or something.
Yeah.
So I think this is a unique movie. Um, But it's hard to tell. It's hard to tell if like 10 years from now I'll be like, I'm gonna watch Pig. You
Yeah.
know? Oh,
Yeah. Yeah.
well,
Yeah. You want to
well, that's my answer. Yeah.
That's a good answer.
Oh. But also, like, I mean, the types of when I do rewatch things, these aren't the types of movies that I like rewatch. Like,
Sure.
I think you're kind of weird if you rewatch the Ancestral Legacy. Like, if you,
Yeah.
if you come up to me and you're like, I've seen that movie 10 times. I'm like, why do you want to go through that 10 times?
Yeah.
Like that's just like such a
I,
roller coaster of a movie.
I mean, the reason why I bring up that question too, and I think you answered it really well, and it's a really like interesting perspective for me because of like the way how you approach like movies differently to how like I approach movies in a way. And it's like I've learned a lot on like how to watch movies and not like have such a stick up my ass about it because of like
Yeah.
things I've learned from you, just experience it and don't worry about
Yeah.
it. Like there's a lot of benefit from like doing things
Well,
like that.
yeah.
And I feel like the reason I asked that question is because of my hesitancies and my sort of like waffling experience of like if I liked the movie at first or not, and still
Yeah.
like the question in my head, but also because of like this larger, more philosophical question of like, what does it mean to be good? You know what I mean? Like, what does it,
I don't think
what
that
does
I
it
do
mean?
when I get older, man, I don't give a fuck about that anymore. I
Yeah.
really don't. I know we've had conversations with that. I don't give a fuck. I don't. I'm like
Yeah.
tired of that conversation. I really do.
Yeah.
Like, if you like it, you fucking like it. And if you don't, okay. Like
Yeah.
I really don't. I don't care. I mean, I'm at this point where I'm just like, I thought Space Jam 2 was a pile of dog shit. I thought
Yeah.
it was horrible. And there's probably people out there that love it. And okay, like I don't get any more. I get almost no benefit from thinking in my head, yeah, that movie's good, and if you don't think it's good, you're just wrong. Because at the end of the
Right.
day,
Right.
that is just it adds nothing to the conversation about this movie. It adds like nothing to like I don't know. It doesn't fulfill me anymore. Like I'd
Yeah.
rather have a conversation that we just had, where it's like what you liked about it, what you didn't like about it. We had a discussion. We're not having a discussion of like this is good because of this and this is bad because of this. It's like no, we saw the same thing and we're just discussing what was in the movie and our interpretations of what we just saw, you
Yeah.
know? And like I don't know. I don't really stress about it anymore. I just don't because
Yeah.
like, did I enjoy my experience? Fast Nine is probably a bad movie. Like, if you go on, like, I don't know,
This is
whatever
a really
scale,
interesting comparison. Right.
but I fucking had an amazing time. Like, I had an amazing time watching it.
Right. Right.
It's all about the experience. So, if you had a bad experience watching that, it's probably not good. For to you, you just, like, don't like it. You know, it's like, cool. That's like I was just having like a conversation about Quentin Tarantino, one of our friends' dads, where he just doesn't get Tarantino movies.
Yeah. Sure.
And he's trying to have a conversation with me. At the end of the day, I was just like, dude, you don't have to like it. Like I know you feel bad because everybody it's considered great,
Talks about it.
everybody loves
Yeah.
it, but you don't have to like it. You really don't. Like it's not like it's you're gonna be fine.
Yeah.
There's well over two hundreds of thousands of films out there,
Yeah.
and you will find one that you like. You'll find a niche that you
Yeah.
like a
And
record that you like. You know,
I,
it's for everybody. I don't
and
like
I,
anime,
yeah.
but like, but I'm not
This is,
gonna be like over here and call anime bad. Like
yeah.
it's just like I don't like it. It's
I
just like,
think
but I got all of it. But
well the place that you're coming from is like what I've learned from you, like what
yeah,
you're talking about is like the lesson that I have learned from you that I find really valuable about like viewing and experiencing films.
just about
and
the
it,
experience, man. It's just
and
like if you like it, I mean, it's just Whatever.
And it goes into the idea of how, like, one of the reasons why I think we've stopped rating our films at the end of like each
Oh yeah, we don't do
episode
that
too,
anymore, yeah.
because like I feel really tired of the idea of like criticism or like putting a rating on things, because
Yeah.
it's just like it's so inconsistent when you look at
Yeah.
like these ratings of things, and it's just talk about your experience. And I
Well, I'm
like
also
as
like, like, I'm also just so tired of like, I'm more the guy that likes to analyze like how the film was received in terms of like critics and
sure,
stuff.
look, yeah,
I
sure,
do not want to be a critic and consider myself a critic because I think they're pretentious as shit. The
yeah,
idea of going in and you deciding if this is good or bad, you're one fucking guy. You're
yeah,
one dude who is just who paid money to go to college for 4 years. Like that's who you are to me. You're
yeah,
not. There's some critics who are I like listening to or reading that because they're very smart and I like how they analyze the film. You
yes,
know, but there's other people who are like, this is good. If you think this is bad, then you're just wrong. You know,
yes,
and like it's like, well, obviously not. But so like yeah, I think that's why when you rate a movie, it's just like it just doesn't add anything to me. Like me giving it like a 7 out of 10, it's like I still enjoyed my experience. Like it doesn't
right,
really
right,
matter. It's just like
right.
quantifying how good it is or not. It's just like the thing is, I watch so much shit and I just love this shit that like I like I don't if I saw a house that like Japanese art film and I was a critic, I would probably be like, what the fuck is this?
Sure. Right. 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 Right.
Like what
Right.
this is
Right.
completely off the form. It is completely insane. There's no sense. A guy turns into a pile of bananas. Like
Yeah.
it's like but it's awesome. Like I love watching that. It was an
Yeah.
amazing experience. Is it good? I don't know. The
Yeah.
guy turned into a pile of bananas and I thought it was cool and funny and I got something weird out of it. You
So
know?
I feel like kind of what I'm thinking about now with like this conversation is kind of how we have this, because the critic's purpose is to try to serve to the public the movies that are going to be an enjoyable, consistently enjoyable. We have this
Yeah.
problematic term of what it means to be like good or bad, right?
Right.
And I think that more so what I think my definitions are is like I'm leaning more towards this, just let things be defined through your own experience of experiencing the
Yeah.
things.
Yeah.
And I think the thing to me, more of the definitions that I like versus like film, like in the like my spectrum of films, is I like calling the films that are like good more of like saying like that film was life changing to me. It changed
Sure.
my
Yeah.
life to
Yeah.
watch that film. It's like Manchester by the Sea. It changed my life. Like
Yeah.
after watching that, my life was forever changed after
Well,
watching
also,
that.
bro, like, I mean, they're like a movie that we love. Under the Silver Lake. That movie's
Yeah,
bad as shit, bro.
yeah.
No one
Is
liked that.
yeah, right, right, yeah, right. No one likes it.
Like, but I fucking love it. I
Yeah,
genuinely love it. I can talk about it for. We did a whole podcast on it. I
right.
love that movie.
And it's interesting to talk about this on like the levels of like because you have different answers each time or experience, because you can talk about this on like an individual kind of experience, and
Yeah.
that's like totally like subjective person to person, and then you can talk about it more on like a large cultural
Well,
thing
that's what
on the
I like. I
United
mean, I
States
like
or the
doing that a
world.
lot. And
Yeah,
like that, at the end of
it's
the day, like,
fascinating.
maybe
It's so
does
fascinating.
consider things like good or they not maybe not even good, but impactful in
Yeah,
some way, you know?
yeah,
Because I would consider the Ring impactful, but it's not necessarily good. It just made some impact, you
yeah,
know? It it influenced things. It became a big thing.
yeah.
People gravitated to whatever is part of that. Like it's just like the movies I consider good. I think it's just like or impactful is just about time. You know, as
Yeah.
time goes by,
And but the thing that I also think
or
about too,
iconic. I like
and
that word better. Iconic
iconic
because
is
it's
good.
just like it's an icon. It's it's just a thing that everybody seems to gravitate towards.
Yeah,
Either
and
they hate
so
it or they don't,
and there's a
or they
thing
love it.
about there's something about movies, like a couple of movies like Jaws, The Godfather, The
Yeah,
Godfather Part 2, Alien, all of these movies that I'm listing off. It's like there's something genius about this or the Studio Ghibli movies, right?
Yeah,
There's
right.
something universally genius about this that's good. And it's really hard to
It's
understand
very hard.
what's going on about that
Yeah.
makes them so universally genius.
And also,
And
like, and even that, there's also, like, it gets complicated when you go into, like, because there are, like, actual things that make a film, like, good in terms of, like, technically, you
right,
know?
like
Whenever I, like, talk
composition,
about a movie now,
cinematography,
whenever I
lighting.
talk about a movie now, I'm always like, this film is great technically, you
Sure,
know?
yeah,
Like,
yeah,
I only talk about it in terms of, like, I thought this film looked amazing. Like Pig, for example, I thought it looked amazing, it sounded amazing. It was well edited. That is like a fact. It's not like,
yeah, yeah, yeah.
you know, those are like real things. Those are like tangible things that you're like, that is well lit. And if you don't think it's well lit, then you probably don't get it. You probably didn't go to film school and you have no idea what
Yeah.
you're talking about.
So here's a
Like,
really
so like
here
there are things that you could point to that are like 100% like, this is
yeah.
a good quality. This is how things should be
Yeah,
made.
exactly. And I feel
How
like
they need to be made for a
yeah,
movie to work. Like,
and I feel like the sort of like the
the
uniqueness of it is
story.
like yeah. And I feel like the uniqueness of how Pig is executed is also a gift that we don't get very often
Yeah, exactly.
because of how what makes money and stuff like that. But
Yeah,
here's
people just
kind of
you just fall into um traps and formulas and just doing copying what everybody else is doing and kind of just making um that happens in every art form and stuff like that. But that's not necessarily, I don't know, bad thing, but there's something beautiful about that too. Just people uh, are gravitated towards something and they feel inclined to replicate it in some way.
yeah.
Um, that's just how I look at things. Like I'm
Yeah.
not a very like cynical person, so like I don't really see unless it's like something like Space Jam 2 that made me mad because it's just like
Yeah.
why did you even do this?
Yeah, yeah.
But
There's
and it,
always that thing.
because that movie also just feels like there's not more that I hate than when a movie just I feel the corporate fingers like on me. You know,
Yeah.
I feel like this is all there's just no artistry, there's just no thought that went into making this entertaining. It was just like we need to make a Space Jam movie so we can keep the rights. Like it's shit like that. And when I feel
Yeah.
that, I just it's icky. It's just gross. It's just like, I don't like that. You
Yeah.
know?
Yeah.
But I don't know what I'm saying anymore.
No, but I mean it's all on the same topic and it's like it's such a it's just like a complicated question that like I think that we as a human society really would prefer to have definitions and slots to put everything in. But I really think it's much more valuable to which is kind of like our thesis as like film watchers on this podcast. What we talk about is just to like figure it out for yourself. And it's like we're largely in that place of life as individuals, like being 23-year-olds. We're very much in like the figure it out kind of phase. So maybe like this is just like developmentally where we're at, but
Yeah.
like I just feel like that's like the most fulfilling way to engage with art in general is just to like have your own experience with it and just make your own decisions and then
Yeah.
like just build on that and just build on that
Yeah.
through experience. And this movie's like the thing that's cool about this movie is that like you go and watch it and it doesn't really necessarily go feel one way or the other. It's like it's not going to be something that's obviously forgotten, but it's not something that's instantly iconic. It's like this
Yeah, it's
middle
hard to
ground of like
yeah.
just being like an interesting underground movie.
Yeah,
You know, it's just
dude.
like you don't know where it's going to
How
go.
many iconic movies there are? Like 100.
Yeah.
Like 100 movies that come out a month.
Right, right.
Like like I mean it's just like dude. Like I mean to get like that's what it's like. I mean that's why I get a boner when I go see like Mad Max Fury Road.
Right,
When
right.
I saw that, I mean, I'll never forget when I saw that for the first time. When you see that movie for the first time, you are a film fan and you watch, even if you're not, honestly,
Yeah.
It just you're like, this is just gonna be like, there's nothing like this. It's like, it's iconic, and it just has this. Even if you didn't like it, you knew that it was gonna be something that people are gonna watch until the
Yeah.
day. You know, it's just that
Yeah.
unique,
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
that like just it's just a statement. It's just like this incredible made movie, like this
Yeah.
insane relative to action movies. We don't like action movies, and you don't care what we're talking about. But
Right.
like if you're an action movie fan and you see that and you're like this, like it feels like it. When I saw that, it felt like that the movie landscape changed. Like when that movie came out, it was like, okay, so action movies will be different. And guess what?
But
They were.
yeah.
After that movie came
Yeah,
out,
dude.
all
Yeah,
these people
dude.
who were like, "Oh, people don't like safety cam. We gotta sell our action." Okay, and so then action movies just got better. They just got
Yeah.
better because
Yeah. Yeah.
everyone, he was like, First Miller was like, "Here's how you fucking do it, knuckleheads.
Yeah.
Figure out how to do it."
Yeah.
Like, like so. That's when it's cool when something like that comes out. Even if it's even like the Emoji movie, that's so bad, it's so awful, but it's gonna like make an impact. Like holy shit! It's just,
Right.
like so. It's just crazy. We got like a corporate America got so low with ideas that they made a fucking movie
About emotion.
about emojis.
Yeah.
Even if it was good, even if it was like, or I liked it was funny or something, I would
Yeah.
still be saying this. Like they
Yeah.
made a movie that like,
That's like, this is like a good reminder about like being the good humored like film viewer, and just like enjoying the experience of like going to the movies, because we have like such, this is why this is like the problem with critics that we're talking about, because you have, as a viewer, Americans especially are so fucking picky about it because they
yeah,
want to have a good experience. And I
yeah,
mean,
I
like,
get it.
I understand that, because it's like I get really disappointed like if I don't like what I'm watching. Like
Yeah, of
I'm
course.
just really emotional, and that's how
You
like a
also
lot of
pay
people
money.
are.
You're
You pay
paying
money,
money to
right?
go see it.
And it's
Yeah,
like it's a fucking bummer if something sucks, and if it like really sucks, you get mad. It sucks.
yeah, exactly. Yeah,
But it's like it's also important that like you don't get to, the progress is not something that happens instantaneously. It happens through this slow progression from like the Emoji Movie to Mad Max Fury Road. This is the point you're making. It happens through that whole process. We need
yeah,
all of it to be able to get to those moments of
exactly.
genius.
You have to go through all. Like, you also like. I've always like. I always just tell people like. I've said this hundreds of times on this podcast, probably. Dude. It's just like if you want to go see. Listen, I'm probably not going to go see. What was there's a trailer that I saw that just didn't interest me at all. But there,
Of a new movie,
yeah, the movie.
like Stillwater or something.
Actually, that looks pretty cool to me.
Okay,
But
a different
um,
new movie.
different new movie, whatever.
Yeah,
Like, but like, I'm just gonna be like, I don't really want to see that. And guess what? I'm not gonna see
yeah,
it. I don't
right,
want to see it.
right.
Doesn't interest me. Um, but like, if that interests you, go see it. Like,
Yeah,
I'm always like. I always want to tell people that because it's like I think Rotten Tomatoes. While I think Rotten Tomatoes is a really great website, and I think that the way that they congregate reviews and that it's a percentage
yeah,
of what you like and what I think that's a good way to gauge it because it's like a congregate of hundreds of reviews, and it's a percentage of like how many of them liked it and how many didn't. I think that's a good congregate because at the end of the day, like what
yeah,
you're talking about, you're paying money to go see a movie, and so like I get it. Like there has to be something like that to exist.
yeah.
Like if I live in a perfect world, critics wouldn't exist.
Right,
Like movies would
right.
just come out and people just decide if it's good or not, like
Yeah,
in their mind. But in reality, we don't live in a world like that because you have to pay money to see it. And so, uh, the movies like studios make movies that are targeted towards specific demographics, so they would go see it, you know.
Yeah,
But
what Rotten Tomatoes and like Metacritic and these rating systems are such a funny like concept, because I feel a tremendous amount of like it's a weird relationship that I have to these things, because I have an understanding of knowing what they are and enough experience with films
yeah,
to know like that I can like kind of like take it into my own hands and deal with it. But
right,
I have this human experience that I'm very much frustrated that exists within me, that if
yeah.
I see a film that I'm interested in and I see it has a Rotten Tomato score, I'm gonna feel bummed out about that movie not being good before I've
That's
even fucking
absolutely real.
seen it.
No, no, no. That is absolutely real. That's
Yeah.
100% real. I have. Well, that's what I'm trying to make a point. Is
Yeah.
that the point is that these great. That Rotten Tomatoes is a great website. I love it. I think it's genius what they do.
Yeah.
But at the end of the day, I think it is a detriment to some of these films that, like, if you want to go see Leprechaun 8,
Yeah.
okay, go see it. Go see it
Yeah.
for yourself. Don't really care about what the reviews think. And I think most people understand that, to be honest. I think, like, most people get that, like, horror movies that get horrible reviews, garbage horror movies, in my opinion, that are just so awful and poorly made for $1. They make money, and they get
Yeah.
shit on their critics. They get like 0% on drop, super low. Everybody's like,
Yeah.
don't go see this. You'll have a horrible time. That's what everyone is saying. They're like, you will have a horrible time if you don't pay money to see this. Still makes what 30 million
Billions.
over the
Yeah.
weekend. Like,
Millions and millions of dollars. Yeah.
so, and that kind of makes me happy, to be honest, because it means that people are like, I still want to see it because this is what I like, you know,
Yeah.
and that's cool. I'm happy that that exists, where it's like, if you want to go see Paranormal Activity 48 or whatever, go see
Yeah.
it. You know,
Yeah. Yeah.
I'm not, but you go see it.
Yeah.
You
Go
know,
see it.
and I'm
It's
not
just,
gonna get mad if you go see it and you
it's
like
funny.
it.
It's funny how passion can be such like a fickle thing too. You know, it's like, because you can be, I have a lot of moments where I can be like so interested and invest in something at some point, and something so stupid and shallow can just totally take the wind out of my sails. And
Yeah,
it's just like, it's a lot. The thing that I have a hard time accepting is the value in having a bad experience sometimes, you know, because you can
yeah,
get a lot out of watching a movie you really don't like. You learn a lot about yourself. You learn a lot about identifying movies in the future that you will like by watching a movie you don't like. And it sometimes can be a
yeah,
really frustrating thing to just accept a bad experience for being like a worthwhile, that was part of my life. I had it, and
yeah.
now let's learn from it or something, you know?
It's
It's
just
like
like
there's value to that.
it's also just like a movie. It's like
Right.
if you like if you see Space Jam: A New Legacy and you walk out, you're like, my whole month is ruined.
Yeah.
You're like, okay, well, I think we got other things going on.
Yeah.
Go home, make fun of it, or whatever. Just be like, wow, that was a dumb movie. I hated that. Go
Yeah.
home, watch some porn. I don't know. Just
Yeah.
do
Get
whatever you
over it.
do. Do whatever makes you happy. And let me tell you, you will forget about that movie in a
Yeah.
minute.
Yeah.
And like sometimes there are those movies like you're describing that come out and just irk you.
Yeah.
Go look like a
Yeah.
cockroach in your brain.
Yeah.
Like, why do I
Does
keep
this
thinking
exist?
about this pile of dog shit that I
Yeah.
saw that
Yeah.
I hated so much?
Yeah.
Like I remember seeing Transformers 4, one of them, whatever those. That's a great example. People love those movies.
Yeah. Right. Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
I
That's
don't
a really
understand it.
good. Yeah.
I don't get it. But look,
Yeah.
there's millions of people that love them.
Yeah. So
What am
many.
I, honest to God, what do I know?
Yeah.
They're probably whatever. Like there's a huge audience for them.
Yeah. Like by statistics, like you start talking about that, it's like by statistics,
Who am
like
I to be
like
like?
Transformers is like one of the best movies of all time by
Yeah,
statistics.
exactly. It's like, bro, like, what are we talking about here? This is all like relative and just fucking It doesn't mean anything. It's just
Yeah.
like people are gonna go movies, robots, pig, starring Nicolas Cage. I don't want to see that. I want to see movies and robots. Like that's just the way
Yeah.
that people think, and like I get it, action, explosion. But um I remember seeing one of those, whatever it was, and I was like physically ill after I shot. I like walk out of the theater and I was like, I feel sick. Like I feel like I'm gonna like throw up because it's just I like that's the thing about those is like that blows my mind. I can't believe people can watch it. Like
Yeah.
physically,
Yeah.
physically
Yeah.
to
Yeah.
watch it. It's so ugly looking. It's so like it's all this terrible CGI. You have no idea what's going on.
Yeah.
It really is the equivalent of taking sugar, like just a vat of sugar, and just like drinking it,
Yeah.
and like you just feel like that's just how I feel. But maybe I'm just the weird one. Maybe everyone else is like, no, I can tell exactly what's going on.
Yeah.
All it is to me is just oiled people that are just oiled up and just metal flying everywhere. That who plugs to Bud Light? I'll drink a Bud Light.
Yeah.
That's what those movies are. There's no story. There's just nothing that I like.
Okay.
So when I walked out, I literally almost threw up.
I,
So
I I'm gonna.
oriented.
I feel okay. So like my take on that, which is like another really good example, is going to be at risk of sounding pretentious. I don't know, but like the feeling I feel about like the enjoyment of something like Fast Nine or something like that versus like a movie like I don't know, like a good like film, maybe like
Yeah,
Pig is a good example. Pig is
yeah.
a good example versus this is like the same experience versus having like a meal of vegetables versus like a tub of ice
No,
cream.
no, you're right.
Yeah.
But like ice cream is sick too.
Like ice cream is sick, but it's like having the whole tub at once. It's like, dude,
No,
have a scoop next to your vegetables.
no, I
Like
agree.
in addition
You're
to
like
that.
if
Yeah.
I would say you don't want a you don't want a sugar diet. You don't want to
Like
only watch.
Transformers is like the Big Mac in movie forms. You know what I mean? It's like
But
it's just a Big
all of
Mac.
that we're saying right now is all almost irrelevant because we're
Yeah.
both psycho people. Most people see 2 movies in theaters a year. That's
Right.
the average
Yeah,
for it.
right. That's
Two.
crazy. That's
Guess what they
crazy.
are? Marvel,
Yeah.
Fast and Furious, Transformers,
Yeah.
Michael Bay, piece of garbage.
Yeah.
That.
Yeah. But here's the thing
So
about that. That's
people
another really
don't
great point.
care.
But
like,
here's another great thing because like once you start to people who watch 2 movies a year, they'll have a conception based on the 2 movies they watch. And
yeah,
it's
but
like
those
someone like you
people
and
I
me,
don't talk to.
but like if you
Or
do like have like a
I'm
conversation
not
with them.
talking to movies about them because we're on completely different spectrums.
Right. But if you let's say if you have someone who's like not necessarily interested in movies and does that, but is like still like a good person who has like depth to
Yeah.
them and you start talking about it, you have this phenomenon where it's just
That
like,
well, oh,
I didn't know that there was this dimension to movies. And
well,
it's
of
just
course,
like, yeah, move man, you
yeah,
see
yeah,
2 movies a year. Like
yeah, right. Yeah, I mean, like, I'm definitely like, I'll introduce friends to, like, I was definitely that
and
person
that's
for
a
my
cool
friends.
experience. I don't say that with bitterness. I love it when that happens. Like
Yeah,
when people are just like, I
yeah,
didn't
of
know there
course.
was this potential of
Yeah,
things.
of course. Yeah. Like, I mean, that was what I did for my friends. Is I would, they're all like Marvel movies and, all the big, you know, Hollywood movies like I did. And then
Yeah.
I kind of, I, ventured out, became a fucking weird guy. And then it was like, saw Drive, and I was like, dude, you guys gotta see this movie.
Yeah.
Fucking,
Yeah.
fucking awesome. You know? Or like shit like that. Or
Yeah.
like old, Spielberg movies or something. You
Here's
guys see
here's
Close Encounters of the Third Kind?
here's something. I had like a earth
That movie's
shattering.
sick.
That movie is sick. I had an earth shattering moment last night because I went out with some of Eva's high school friends have come to
Nice.
and so like three of her friends are here, and we went out and got pizza
Nice.
together, and we were just talking, and like I hadn't met them before, so we were just getting to know each other.
Are they staying
And
in your apartment?
no, they're like staying at a hotel.
Okay.
Thank God, because like I can't imagine fitting like two.
Yeah.
They're like two grown men. It's like that
Oh,
is not
really?
gonna go. They won't fit. They won't
That's
fit.
hilarious.
But we were talking, and we just got on the conversation of movies, and I just like brought up The Shining because I learned that Estes Park has the Stanley Hotel, which is not the hotel but it was the hotel that inspired Stephen King to write The Shining,
right?
And which now I really want to go to, but that came up in conversation.
Maybe I'll go.
Yeah, wouldn't that be sick,
we'll
dude? You should come. We should go. Yeah, that'd be so sick. It's only an hour away, anyways. But like they came up, and I realized I was it was 5 of us at that table, and none of them had seen The Shining.
Right.
And it was like
that earth-shattering.
It was earth-shattering. I was like, what kind of world do I live in? This is crazy. But it was a humbling experience for me to have that happen.
That's the thing about like genre. Like that's like an interesting like kind of look at genre, because I have people in my life who have never seen a horror movie in their life.
Right.
So I have a friend who hasn't seen Jaws.
Yeah, that's crazy. Eva hasn't seen Jaws.
I make fun of him all the time. I'm like, what do you do? Like? You don't have to like it. Just watch it. Like, but like there are people just do not. Some people just cannot take horror movies, and they just won't watch anything like horror related. And think about how many great movies are in that genre, or that are considered iconic and great. But there's a majority of people who just won't watch it like that.
Yeah. And it's also crazy to think about the fact about like people, and I don't say this with disgust, at all, but like that, like what movies are to them is just like whatever's like in the headlines or like is like popping that week. And that's just like their experience with their movies. Yeah.
That's what they're into.
And it's
like that dude, like I was saying earlier, we are fucking psychopaths. We're not the normal person.
Yeah.
I have to stress that a lot. Like, we are not the normal human being. Like that. No one. There's probably lower than 1% of humanity has seen House.
Yeah. Right.
Like, you would have to talk to like probably like I would say a good 100 to 200,000 people before you get run into someone that goes, yeah, I've seen House.
Yeah, right. And okay, this is an interesting conversation because my opinion on this in terms of humanity, right, is that like I don't have a problem if you're not like as passionate or obsessed about films as I am, because it's my passion. You don't have to have my passion for me to like you as a person. But it's like when sometimes you meet people and they're like passionless. It's just like you're just like a husk taking up space, and it's just like why don't you just invest in anything at all? Because you're not interested what I'm interested in, and you're not interested in anything else that we can like have any kind of conversation. Just like what, how, what. Who? What? Why are you here? Yeah.
Those people make me sad.
Yeah, it's a bummer. It's like a huge bummer because, like,
You don't have a passion for anything. If you're like, dude, I collect. Do you have any nail clippings? Because I collect nail.
I collect those, and they like go in a great conversation about like why it's cool and how long they've been doing it.
Yeah,
that's awesome. It's so cool.
I'd rather have that than someone that's just not interested in anything.
Yeah, right. It sucks when people don't care about anything.
Yeah.
And largely they're just like depressed assholes too on top of that. It's just like you're boring and you're unpleasant to be around.
Wow, I can't believe that one, like The Shining, that one's just like amazing to me because
I know. It's crazy.
It's like, guys, you're missing out.
I know.
Missing out.
That's
I also get like really like excited when I meet someone that like who hasn't seen like a movie like that.
Yeah,
And
see,
they
that was
want,
the thing that was
like,
that was the
want
thing
to
that was
see it.
that was the thing that was cool about that, because it's just like, I think like this brief encounter of knowing you guys, I think you guys would all like this movie. So it's
Yeah.
like you're missing out. It's not like you're boring and like stay out of my good material.
Yeah.
It's like I want to share this with you.
Can you imagine like this iconic movie? This is mine. You can't watch it, dude.
Sometimes I think about that though.
I
You know,
know,
I think
yeah.
about, it's just like, you're boring. I hate you. You don't deserve house. Stay the fuck away. Stay away from my Blu-ray collection, dude. You can't even you can't even look at it.
You don't deserve Kanye.
You disgust me. You shouldn't even speak his name.
Yeah, that's crazy. I've had like a couple friends. There was one time. Oh, there's actually a really funny moment in the lake that one of my friends, like, we were talking and he made like a Lion King reference,
Mm-hmm.
and she was like, "I've never seen that," and we both were like, "You ever seen the Lion King?" And she like misinterpreted like what like the reference was.
Yeah.
And we were just all dying because both were so concerned. We were like,
Yeah.
"You ever seen the Lion King?" Like, what? And it's like, oh my god! Like I was about to do, when I said something like, I was about to literally like grab you and take you to the other room. We're like, we're watching.
Yeah, watching this
Lion King
right now.
right now.
Yeah.
In the middle of this party.
You know, it's funny because it's just like, it's not like I feel like you have to be up like
Could you
like
imagine doing someone and be like, I never seen the Lion King, and you look at them and you go, gross, and then you walk away?
But it's like, you know, like the way I feel about it is just like, it's just like some movies are just so like important to my life that when I hear that, it's just like, you don't have to have as life-changing of an experience, but I feel like it's an injustice on my part to not give you the opportunity to experience this.
I mean, when you start like hanging out with somebody, I mean, that's what you do. You're like, I remember when we were friends, we started hanging out. I was like, so you like movies that I like, you know? And like vice versa, you know? It's just like,
or like the fact that you showed me Tame Impala for the first time. It's just like, well,
yeah,
that was important. That's important. Changed my life right there. You showed me Tame Impala.
Check out this band. They're cool, dude.
Yeah, sometimes like, have you ever like one time that happened with one of my friends too, where this isn't like, well, we were I knew about like Smash Bros and stuff, and like my other friend in high school knew about Smash Bros, and we introduced it to this guy, and he got obsessed, and he got like really good at it, and it changed him, you know, because it became like his thing. He played Smash Bros, and it's just like, that's cool when shit like that happens, you know. Sometimes like you might like something, and then you meet somebody, you introduce it to them, and they just become like an expert at that thing. They like become like or like, have you ever like how David Lynch talks about the fact of like, what if he didn't have that one friend who had that conversation where it's like, yeah, my dad's an artist, and he's just like, I want to be an artist. It's like that. What if that moment didn't happen? How long would it have taken David Lynch to like happen?
Like, right.
It's important.
Yeah, exactly. Like, like I always love it when because sometimes I feel like a normie when I play like, but sometimes I don't when I play like really, like I'm super into like 90s hip hop and shit right now. And I've been listening to like super iconic, like Biggie and like all these things that were huge at the time, and I just don't realize that like no one listens to them now. I'm listening to like Jay-Z. So when they get in the car and they're like, "Who is this?" And I was like, "Jay-Z." And they're like, "Oh." And I was like, what? And then I got like really heated. I was like, oh my god, like what is going on with society? Can't like recognize Jay-Z. And I was like, all right, Alex, calm down. It's just like it's earth shattering.
Yeah.
It's fucking weird. Like like I remember there was a couple times in college when I got really heated at like one of our friends because he was like we were playing like Anderson Paak.
Yeah.
And he was like, "Is this Kendrick Lamar?" And I was like,
no, no.
like,
Who are you?
no.
What are you doing in my space, man?
Like this doesn't even sound like him. He's singing.
Yeah, it's so funny. It's like
That
sometimes
was like rap music.
it's amazing how like sometimes what people say it's like they stick an icicle directly up your asshole. It's just
But it's like,
oh my god.
They're not even. That's exactly what it feels like.
Why would you do that to me? Why would you do that?
But it's like it's so funny, like the reaction. Because like it's just like it's not. It feels like you're hurting me.
Yeah,
But it's like, well, not really. You just don't know about it.
Yeah.
You don't. It's just not
like,
what you listen to. But
it's like
it's
like feels
my life. It's like somebody was like, "Oh, what is the college dropout by Kanye West?" Like,
yeah.
what? Like, I would be like, "Nah," and then I'll be like, "Okay, well, I'm gonna play it for you." And then I get really frustrated when I play it to them, and they're like, "I don't get it." I'm like, "Oh,
Yeah, it's like it kind of feels like if like it sort of feels like they don't have any, it's to them it's just like a thing that they're commenting on, but like to me or like to you when like that's being commented on, it's like they're saying like I have my kid, like my little precious boy, like by me, and I'm like, look at how great this boy is. He's growing up so well, he's so healthy, he's at the perfect weight. Look at him eating like this wonderful meal of asparagus and chicken nuggets with ranch, and like a friend across the street is just like, his left hand looks weird. Like, why do you let him exist? Like his left hand looks like just kind of fucked up. Like, why do you let him keep that? And it's just like, I'm gonna fucking kill him, dude. Leave my kid's hand alone. He's perfect.
Yeah, it definitely feels like it's just like making fun of the child or something.
Yeah. Stay away from my kid, dude.
My kid. Yeah. It's like, that was ridiculous. I was so like, I don't know what to do.
I love
I was like,
how
well,
you...
Jay-Z's this guy.
I love
he's like this rapper.
you
he's
perfect.
Kind of popular.
You
pretty wealthy.
I can so imagine like every like micro expression of you in that moment, like as you go through that, because there's like the moment of silence, there's the processing, there's like, what? Jay-Z?
Well, the crazy part is like, because in my own head I'm like, oh, I'm such a like,
yeah,
I'm listening to Jay-Z. Like,
yeah.
He's so like popular.
Yeah. You know what the other
it was
funny
like
thing?
One of his older albums. Like Jay-Z's one of the most recognizable like rap voices like of all time. Like
the other thing that's really funny to me about that is that I could have really easily been the victim of you in this situation, because like I haven't listened to a lot of Jay-Z. I would have been here. It's like, what is this? This is good. You would have looked at me and been like, you fucking imbecile.
And you have done that. Like,
all the
I've
time.
definitely like felt that way before. But I get it. I get it. Not everybody listens to the same shit,
Yeah.
And it's just like, it's just so earth-shattering. It's like well, it gets really crazy when you like are like listening to like I was listening to like Queen, and I think somebody said that. Like it's like a deep cut Queen song. And they're like, who is this? I'm like, dude,
it's Queen.
And they're like, oh.
Yeah.
Oh.
Yeah. I feel bad.
And then I had like a huge realization that I'm just like, oh yeah, I guess I just listen to albums more than the average person does. Because Bohemian Rhapsody, believe it or not, was on an album with other songs on it.
We forget about that a lot.
Yeah.
We forget about that a lot.
That album was just from that album, the Bohemian Rhapsody. I think it's called
it's
Bohemian Rhapsody. I think.
it's funny because like these moments are not just moments. It's questioning your own reality. It's because
My own reality.
yeah, it's like these pieces are fabrics of your existence, and when they're questions, it's like I have to like reevaluate my life,
Yeah,
you know, now for a second.
My Marcus, you're listening to this. We will listen to so much like different music, and so that would happen constantly.
I
These
know.
earth-shattering moments where I'll be like, "How do you not know who
Yeah.
David Bowie is?"
Yeah.
Or like, "How do you not know who Anderson .Paak is?" You know,
Yeah.
or like,
So and Marcos on top of that, like knew he would also do it because he was like just an agitator in general. So he would just like question things. It's just
yeah,
like
like it.
it's just like Kanye sounds exactly like Kendrick, and he would just say
Yeah,
shit like that. And it's just like
no. I literally looked at monkey stuff.
It's like your nipple
I
goes
was just, what the
pure.
fuck? How do you even answer that? You're like, that's just wrong.
I
But
know.
they
Yeah.
don't sound the same. Like they have different tones of voice. I don't
They're
know what
different.
to tell
They're
you.
different people.
I
They're
don't know if
obviously
different human beings.
it's like sound exactly the same, or it's
Like,
just like
yeah, I guess. I guess white people, two white guys sound the same too. I guess with that logic.
there's Eva's friends had one of like a
Oh
horror story
man,
with Uber drivers where they were like where this is kind of like another extreme of this, but like where they had like an Uber driver in the car and he was just shooting the shit, and he said something where it's just like I find it really upsetting that the Redskins changed their names, because like if a single Indian, like I haven't seen a single like Indian come forward and like complain about it before, and like Eva's friend in the car like said in the car, it's just said all of them did, dude, all of them did. That's exactly why this happened. It's
is
just
that
like
why he said? Is he actually said that?
yeah, he actually said that. He said like they didn't talk anymore in the Uber ride, which is hilarious. But
Oh my
like
god.
that's like a
Right.
funny thing like that. It's just like how can you think like this? How can
Yeah.
this be what your life is?
Oh shit.
So
Oh man.
anyways, man, I guess Pig
Pig.
was pretty good. It
Jesus Christ.
was pretty
That
good.
was a tangent.
Yeah, man.
Um.
Do you want to
Yeah,
do
I like Pig a lot.
do you want to do the thing for Pig? Are you
Yeah.
ready? The pig is thick and butter approved.
Approved.
It's good. It's good.
And next
Yeah.
week we're gonna do the new A24 movie, The Green Knight.
I'm so excited. I'm
Very
so
excited.
fucking excited.
And then we're gonna do that, and then probably the Suicide Squad. Probably.
Yeah.
We'll do that in the same episode. Because like Suicide Squad will be on HBO Max, so like if you don't want to go
Oh, that's
to the
cool.
theater and see that, you can just watch that.
Maybe we should do
Yeah.
Suicide. I feel like Green Knight is going to take a whole episode. I just have a
Probably.
feeling.
Probably. You're
So
probably
we'll dedicate 101. Which hey, thanks for listening. This is episode 100. Celebration. Such a
100.
good time. I think that was a pretty good rant for 100. It was pretty wacky.
Pretty interesting. I don't even remember what we talked about.
Well, we talked about Pig for a little bit, and then and then it went all over the place.
Went off the rails.
As it do.
All right, everybody. Follow us on Instagram. We're still listening to this. Follow us on Instagram, YouTube, Twitter, all that shit. Episode 100. Here's to 100 more.
Cheers.
Bye-bye.
Bye.